subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
01. 8 Wonders Soul Society, on the main road near Siriidii Bipolar Hill. About 15 or 16 years old, a boy in a death tyrant costume walks alone. Medium black hair, slightly longer left temple, like a bunch of tassel hanging from the ear. Red eyes are always half drooping eyelids. A listless look just looks very handsome. If it is placed in a modern high school, will be very popular with JKs. It's been 10 years in a blink of an eye. Looking at the surrounding buildings that are different from previous lives and full of classical atmosphere, Guan Yue thought to himself, it's an exaggeration to say that he has been in this world for 10 years. How many years can a normal person have in a lifetime? But for Shinigami, 10 years at best made him grow 10 centimeters taller, got rid of the childish appearance of a child, and officially entered his teenage years. This is going to be replaced by Hitsugaya-chur, and it is estimated that nothing has changed. That's what it is like to be innately strong. Guan Yue is not so lucky. It took him 4 years to travel from the remote area of Rukongai to Siriidii. It was a difficult and dangerous journey. It was difficult to improve his strength. He passed the entrance examination once. Unlike Hisagi Shuhai, was so unlucky 3 times. After entering the school, there is no familiar face. There is no chance for a relationship. The 6-year student life was fleeting. After graduation, I thought that I was good at Kid and liked the convenience brought by spellcasting, so I planned to go to work at Kid Public. Kid Public in the original work, it is a background board, and the daily work is also to fight for Godii 13. There is no need to charge in front, and it will not be as critical as the medical team to attract enemy firepower, so it is very safe. Who would have thought that a strong man would be caught by secret mobility? The reason is that apart from Kid, Guan Yue is best at Shuinpa. It is suitable for logistics defense, enchantment EN, and other related operations in secret maneuver. Guan Yue thought to himself that secret mobility is also a background board, and its presence is more limited than that of Kid Zhou. It's almost the same wherever he goes. Maybe he has 2 positions of secret mobility and 2nd Division team member. Salary could be more. Ding, the system is restarting. Huh. An unexpected voice suddenly sounded in his mind, and Guan Yue couldn't help being startled. His right foot stopped in midair. But he responded quickly and continued to report to the 2nd Division team building with a nonchalant appearance, but he was trying to call the system in his heart. Restart fail. The latter's response gave Guan Yue a chill. 10 years of downtime was bad enough. He even thought he was the rare type of traverser who didn't have cheats. Now that the system finally responded, it still came out. Activate the emergency program, and will soon enter the mandatory self-inspection stage. Now, according to the mechanism and regulations, a set of rare abilities will be randomly reissued from the prize pool. Please prepare to receive the host, and the distribution will begin. Guan Yue felt bad and didn't care about attracting attention. So he hurriedly used Shuinpa to leap up and let himself fall into the grass and trees below the bipolar hill, covered in dirt and grass clippings. The next moment, countless streams of information surged out from the depths of the soul, spreading through the whole body like an electric current in an instant, and every spiritual child that constituted itself was infected by another power system. The source of the body, the sky-penetrating scorpion, the arrest of the spirit, the Dahlia Dongwen, the double hands, the Wind Queen, the 6 library immortal thieves, the divine machine Balian. Among all the information flows, these 8 stunts are like black holes. Absorbing part of the information flow, Guan Yue sees 8 more shining stars in his soul as the black hole fills up. Each of these big stars represents a stunt. The 8 add up to the 8 wonders that are famous in a certain alien world. Obviously, through the hands of the system, this series of magical spells created by human beings is already different from the original 8 wonders. Just as humans entering the Soul Society need to convert their physical bodies into physical bodies composed of spiritual suns, the 8 wonders have also been transformed and completely localized. But to say it is Kid is not accurate. It's not so much a skill as it is a power. In Guan Yue's view, this is not an acquired spell technique at all, but an innate ability. Just like Uebaka is omniscient and almighty. To him, The 8 magic skills are like breathing as a part of the body's functions, which can be used at any time, but most of them require a strong Ryatsu as a foundation to show their true power. With my Ryatsu, who is now equivalent to a lower-level officer, the effect that can be exerted is extremely limited. It seems that a wave of Ryatsu has to be improved first. Fortunately, the 8 wonders are all-encompassing, and there are ways to strengthen themselves. Guan Yue is a little fortunate, but also a little sad. He has worked very hard. After all, he has just graduated from Ryatsu, who is a senior officer. Even if it is only the last stream, he is still a senior officer. In his previous life, he was at least a squad leader in the army. Which freshman enlisted in the army and directly became the squad leader? No matter what, try it first. If it doesn't work, then say it. The chance of heaven defying to change one's life is just around the corner. Don't give it a try. If you fail, just keep trying to accumulate Ryatsu. Guan Yu used the breathing method he learned at Spiritual Arts Academy to adjust his mentality, calm his mind and body, and then follow his instinct to display the origin of Qi. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 02. From today onwards, I am also a genius. The world in front of me has become very different. Although it has always been common knowledge that the soul society is composed of spirits, Guan Yu has never understood this so deeply. The surrounding trees, the soil underfoot, and even the air everywhere, the clouds in the sky and the continuous mountain ridges, the seemingly solid buildings in the distance. Everything faded away. Guan Yu saw endless, colorful spirits exist in various shapes. A connection gradually develops between his Ryatsu and the outside world. He even felt that as long as he touched it, he could restore them to their original form, which is a bunch of spirits that move irregularly. This is the ability of Qi Origin Stream. Absolute control over the Reiki. Although at his current level, both the scope and the total number of spirits are limited, this cannot erase the terrifying aspect of this ability. Shinigami will despair if he finds out, but when Quincy finds out, he will cry, crying and shouting, "Who is the Quince?" Call. Guan Yu took another deep breath. This time, with his breath, there was a strong wind out of nowhere, blowing the tree Lin Fei with sand and rocks, the branches swaying violently, and the high concentration of spirits gathered together, even to the extent that it was visible to the naked eye. This majestic torrent of spirits drowned Guan Yu's entire body, repeatedly washing his body, muscles, bones, internal organs, and even the 9 systems known to the human body are changing drastically, as if soaking in hot boiling water among them. It was thirst-quenching despite the heat. Under the influence of this power, a body that is obviously very healthy seems to be riddled with holes, but even so, all organs are still completely transformed. Together, they formed the foundation for launching the Lu Library Immortal Thief. Guan Yu used the origin of Qi body to attract enough spiritual sons from the outside world as a supplement, and at the same time, he carried out a drastic transformation of himself. Originally, Lu Library Immortal Thief required a lot of food at the beginning, and it was a long process of gradually optimizing and transforming organs, and then it was able to devour more substances with the help of the 6 alienated organs, decompose and digest it into nutrients and strengthen its own body. Now, Guan Yu has directly completed the basic part in one go, and even done it more perfect and thorough than the original standard. It's no surprise that he's Shinigami, and his body is an astral body as soul with psychic powers. Manipulating spiritual power is inherently more handy than humans. Not to mention that the 8 wonders can be used in combination to achieve the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. Guan Yu knew that his soul was too weak compared to Captain Shinigami. The container is too small, and there is not much Ryatsu in it. Even if Qi Origin Stream has great magical powers and has the potential to catch up with Yue is omniscient and almighty, at the moment, Lu Ku Immortal Thief is the key to decide whether he can take off or not. Well, Ryatsu has doubled compared to before. By the standard of nobles, it is about the 6th level Ling Wei, and it is only 1 level away from the vice captain. Guan Yu felt the change in his Ryatsu and came to a conclusion in his heart. Sure enough, farming Dafo is good. After the optimization is completed, the whole body is like being reborn, and the density of souls has been greatly increased, which has doubled the upper limit of Ryatsu. Not only that, launching Lu Library Immortal Thief can directly absorb the spiritual child from the outside world, just like eating instead of ordinary food, making the soul more pure and strong. For Shinigami, soul quality is fundamental. All cultivation revolves around strengthening the quality of the soul. The quantity represents the upper limit, and the quality represents the lower limit. The two go hand in hand and spiral upward. Only in this way can more spiritual suns form a stronger soul, and the spiritual power of the soul, the fluctuations that appear externally, are called Ryatsu. Guan Yue wants to improve Ryatsu. The best way is to be like the ghost repair in Shinsha novels. Absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to temper the soul body, and break through a higher realm to gain stronger power. Although the system is different, among them the behavior logic is consistent. Origin of Key Body plus Lu Library Immortal Thief can be said to be even more powerful. The latter dominates, and the former reinforces the latter's efficiency and acts as a security guarantee. From today onwards, I am also one of the best geniuses. At this rate, Guan Yue thinks he will be captain in a few years. Afterwards, he tried the remaining 6 stunts, including Qimen, and found that it was the same as what he thought. Aside from the rigid requirement of Ryatsu, each of the 8 magic skills has many magical uses and can even develop many derivative moves. Therefore, flexible thinking and rich experience are also indispensable. Oops, I'm going to be late. When he came back to his senses, he realized that more than an hour had passed. Guan Yue almost forgot that he was going to the second team to report on this. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 03. Broken Bee Big Sister asks for a cover built on the hills. The building, the towers, the halls, and the pavilions of the second division are connected together. You can see the blue sky and white clouds from the room without looking up. It is guarded by lush forests. There is pride and arrogance everywhere. Guan Yue followed the veteran team members through the promenade courtyard and came to a dojo with a huge space, at least thousands of square meters. At this time, more than 40 people in the dojo lined up neatly and stood up, listening to a young girl lecture them. Report to Lord Broken Bee, the newcomer brought it. This is the last person. The team member who led Guan Yue knelt outside the door and said loudly. The girl is dressed in a black smock and dressed as a standard criminal army. She has a beautiful face, but a cold expression. She has short, neat hair like a knife. Although she is petite, her eyes are sharp and oppressive, and she feels a biting chill from the slightest glance. Jump up and down. She is the future leader of the second division, who will succeed Shihoin Yuruchi. Seeing Guan Yue, who was pretending to be a bit messy, Broken Bee raised his long brows and said in a bad tone, "What's the matter? It's okay to be late, and you made yourself so embarrassed and used this appearance for the team entry ceremony. But disrespect to the second division and Yuruchi-sama. Sorry, senior. I was overexcited at the thought of joining the second team soon. Shuinpo was useless and fell into the woods. I am willing to accept the punishment." Guan Yue showed a shameful expression. As for whether he is really ashamed, only he himself knows. Forget it. Since I joined the second team, I have to work more seriously in the future. Seeing that Guan Yu's attitude of admitting his mistake was so good, the face of the Broken Bee softened, and he decided that the adult should not remember the villain's mistakes and let the newcomer go. Join the team. Yes. When Guan Yue stood still, Broken Bee looked around and said, "I repeat what I just said. According to the usual practice, every year when new recruits join the team, there will be an in-team martial arts exercise, and all team members, including the officers, must participate. And Yuruchi-sama will decide the seats for this period based on each person's performance." Official seat. The second team does not look at qualifications, but only on personal ability, and this is the change brought by Yuruchi-sama. The purpose is to give everyone a chance. If you don't want to be trampled under your feet, try your best to become stronger, and you don't want to be taken away by others. Try your best to become stronger in your own position. Everyone present, some are from the Spiritual Arts Academy, and some are from other divisions. Although you all passed the entrance examination, The second division, secret mobility, does not raise waste. If the performance after joining the team is unqualified, it means that the second division, the squad has misunderstood the person from the very beginning. In order to wash away this shame, I will definitely execute him personally. Did you hear everything clearly? Yes. The crowd roared loudly. Many people were pale and sweating. Obviously, the words of the broken be shattered their small thoughts. Godei 13 can be transferred between teams, so the problem is don't stay in the original team and specially transfer to the second team with a bad reputation in the eyes of the Shinigami group. What do you want? Guan Yue didn't know and was too lazy to guess. He now lacks time to study the 8 magical skills he just got. This year's Spiritual Arts Academy graduates stay, others disband. Broken Bee said. Then Guan Yue found that the group of people ran away in an instant, as if he regarded the Broken Bee as some kind of evil spirit that eats people and doesn't spit out bones, for fear that he will be finished if he takes a slow step. Is it just you? Seeing that only Guan Yue was left standing alone, his expression was still a little confused. Bro Bee snorted coldly. It's nothing to be surprised. Now the second division has long been equated with secret mobility. There are a few people willing to do the shady job of an assassin. Guan Yue thought so too. If it wasn't for secret mobility to rob people, he would have gone to Kid Public to report. It's a pity. If I knew that I would find a set of 8 magic techniques from the system, I had to squeeze into the kid crowd and find those seniors who were good at kid for more guidance. Everyone used magic techniques, and they communicated with each other. A lot of experience is common between them, and they can be used directly, which can save a lot of detours. What is your expression? You also despise secret mobility? When he came back to his senses, Guan Yue found that Broken Bee had come to him at some point, staring at him with those awe-inspiring eyes, as if he would kill him as long as he dared to say yes. I really didn't want to be in the second team from the beginning, but I don't resist joining the second team. It can even be said that I am glad to be in the second team. It's great. What's the meaning? Seeing the sincere expression of the young man in front of him, which did not seem to be a fake, Bro Bee was a little surprised. Meaning, after listening to the words of Senior Broken Bee, I think from the bottom of my heart that it is great to work under such a powerful and attractive boss. Your words and posture will make me study hard. Role model. Anyway, I will be working in the second division team for a long time in the future, so it is necessary to have a good relationship with the Broken Bee, who is destined to become the second division team captain. For Guan Yue, who has lived a low-key life in the Soul Society for 10 years, this skill of talking to people and talking to ghosts has been perfected. Are you kidding me on purpose? Broken Bee was stunned for a moment, then took 2 steps back, and a little red glow visibly appeared on his white face. How dare I? I just said what I said from the bottom of my heart. If there is any rudeness, please forgive me, Senior, and I promise never to do it again. Guan Yue said seriously. Broken Bee suddenly felt a bit of a headache. She would rather the other party's head be a thorn, even if she made a few more quibbles, so that she could justly punish the other party. But she is so sincere, and there is nothing wrong with what she said. It is better to say. It touched her a lot after all. She can understand the idea of looking forward to someone and wanting to catch up with each other. Your name is Guan Yue, right? Yes. I've read your information. Broken Bee took a deep breath and said seriously, I originally wanted to leave graduates here to pick some good seedlings for Xingjun. Although you're the only one, it's okay, I asked. Are you willing to join the Xingjun and become my subordinate? I can't ask for it. It's nice to have someone covered. Eisen, don't you think? Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 04. You call this a newcomer? What a good boss. If all the bosses in my previous life were like Broken Bees, I would work overtime. Guan Yue looked around. This is the dormitory, specially prepared for the players who do not have a residence in the second team's dormitory. A typical Japanese-style tatami room, about 50 square meters, is slightly spacious as a single dormitory. Bedding, team uniforms, daily necessities, etc. are well prepared. With the character of Broken Bee, the salary and treatment are all in accordance with the rules, neither more nor less. But in other aspects, she will not treat her subordinates badly. Putting on the special black clothes of the Xingjun, Guan Yu suddenly felt like Umbu in Hokage, which was quite exciting. After packing up, take Zanpakutō with you and slip out the door to the gathering place of the team that Broken Bee had instructed before. You can't be late again this time. Not too far from the second team building, it is an open-air plaza. It seems to be specially used for training, and there are many targets, burlap wrap stakes, and other equipment. Boy, are you new here? A burly man with a face full of flesh and a somewhat unconventional hairstyle looked down at Guan Yu while picking his nose. Guan Yu looked 15 or 16 years old and was over 1.7 meters tall, but he was more than 2 heads shorter in front of this man. Senior, please give me more advice in the future. Guan Yu gave a smile that was always so kind that it seemed harmless to humans and animals. Omida patted his chest. Oh, well, my name is Omida Marekio. You can call me Brother Marekio. As long as you hang out with me, I will definitely take care of you in the future. My name is Guan Yu. Is it just the two of us? Any other players? Guan Yu looked around and found that no one had come for a long time. There are no other team members. Omida shrugged and said with a disapproving tone, the big sister is Captain Yoruchi's personal guard. Although she belongs to the ranks of the criminal army, she usually performs escort tasks, so there is no need to accept it. There are too many people. Even if they are recruited, they must be super elites who can serve as guards. Omida is right. Suddenly, a cold voice came. At the same time, a figure appeared not far away. It is a Broken Bee. Big sister head? Omida was taken aback. It's Lord Broken Bee. Let me hear that name again, and I'll cut off this layer of fat on your body with a knife and cook it for the executioners to eat. It's just a meal. Broken Bee glared at him, then ignored Omida, whose face was pale with fright, and turned to look at Guan Yu. The only thing Omida is right about is that the Xingjun is the most powerful and core first attachment of the 5 secret mobility detachments. The main task on weekdays is to annihilate some dangerous elements and protect Yoruchi-sama. Don't be offended by thieves. I recruited you into the Xingjun, so I have the obligation to help you familiarize yourself with the new working environment and train you to become a qualified Xingjun. But this is not enough. If you want to work under my command, you have to practice hard with the goal of surpassing me. Looking at the girl's extremely serious and expectant expression, Guan Yu's mouth twitched slightly. He got it. It must be that the previous words worked too well. As a result, Broken Bee saw his own shadow in him, and after empathizing with him, he made up his mind to cultivate his younger generation. But the problem is he's not a licking dog. Is there a problem? Bumblebee raised an eyebrow. No problem. Guan Yu was a little speechless, but it was always a good thing. After all, it really needs guidance right now. You also know about the martial arts. It will be held a week later. During this period, I will guide you to practice so that you and me, as your superior, will not be ashamed in front of Yoruchi-sama. Broken Bee went straight in and said his intentions. My subordinates will not disappoint you. Guan Yu stood up straight and answered with a sonorous force. Omida, you are a sparring partner. You must perform well in this martial arts performance. If you don't perform well, I may not say anything, but Senior Zizijin is hard to say. There was a sneer at the corner of Shuabi's mouth. Unlike Guan Yu, he seemed to be looking forward to Omida's embarrassment. Omida's expression stiffened. The so-called Senior Shogun Yoruchi is Omida's father. He is currently the vice captain of the 2nd Division, and his qualifications are still higher than that of the Captain Shogun Yoruchi. Omida, as a son, knew all too well that he wasn't a role he could handle by acting like a spoiled child. Broken Bee urged impatiently. Don't linger, hurry up, we don't have much time. I'm sorry, Senior Omida. Guan Yu knew that Broken Bee wanted to know about his own strength first, and it happened that he also had the same idea, so he simply started. Hey wait, I'm not ready. Don't worry, I will shout out my tricks to make you feel confident. Hats 33. Song Huaping. In the process of Omida hurriedly drawing his sword and posing, Guan Yu raised his hand and sent out the 30th hat, who sang the destruction chant. The sequence is not high. Many Shinigami can do it, but it is very rare to have his power. A dazzling and cold white flame with a strong blue light of Ryatsu gushing out from Guan Yu's raised palm. Like a volcanic eruption, it is as ferocious as a volcanic eruption, not to mention submerging one person. even if it submerges hundreds of people. The sturdy training ground melts and sinks at a speed visible to the naked eye in less than 2 seconds. The temperature in the air instantly rose, and the spreading flames carried endless heat, forcing everything around them to make way for it. Seeing this, Broken Bee's expression changed, and Shunpa quickly retreated to a safe distance. She had never imagined that kid, after Guan Yu had broken the chant, could have such power. Although it was written in the information that he was good at kid, and the person in charge of recruiting new recruits for the 2nd Division also looked at Vice Admiral for recruiting him. But even so, this good is a bit too much. Is this still a graduate? It's just that the captain is here, right? Oops, Omida. Broken Bee suddenly remembered Omida, who was a sparring partner. She didn't care about the shock and tensed her body to prepare for the rescue. Fortunately, the most worrying result did not happen. Omida, at a critical juncture, exploded with unprecedented potential. Of course, it may also be simply frightened. Guan Yu still knows in his heart that Songhua Zue has a ferocious firepower. But as a low-sequence kid, he has a big flaw in that his traveling speed is too slow, and it is easy to be dodged by others. Don't look at Omida's fat body. He is also a senior team member of Hidden Mobility. Shunpa is quite accomplished, and he used Shunpa to jump into the sky before the torrent of blue flames engulfed him. After building a foothold, he looked back at the square wall that had been smashed and burned down by the flames and the melted and charred ground. His face was shaking, full of lingering fears. Hey, Guan Yu, you're too insidious. Even if you use kid, how dare you tell me your name? You should know what will happen to teasing seniors, right? Break him. 5-shaped head. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 05. I'm a newcomer. You let me play captain? Omida frees Zanpakutō without a word. As the state rose, Ryatsu also rose, and the powerful breath blew the surrounding hot wind. As expected of you, the great front god, you can sure Kai at this point in time. Watching him holding the thorny meteor hammer, looking like he was about to smash at any moment in anger, Guan Yu felt a little admiration in his heart. However, by releasing Kid this time, it can be considered that he has some understanding of his current Kid power, which is much stronger than expected. That is because of the extra bonus brought by Key Origin Stream. S dominance over spiritual sons. Usually, Shinigami uses Kid much like a sorcerer, using his own Ryatsu weaving technique and then communicating with the outside world, resulting in various spiritual phenomena. Guan Yu's Ki body origin flow can strengthen this communication process and can mobilize more spiritual sons to participate in his spells faster. In this way, Kid's effects are naturally multiplied. Beika number 30. The mouth flashes 3 times. Guan Yu rotated his hands once and drew 3 golden-colored lines in the air. Each end condensed light cones and then shot out at a speed that was difficult to detect with the naked eye. Oh. Omida swung her meteor hammer vigorously, using centrifugal force and weight to accelerate to a certain extent, and then slammed it out. This is completely different from the sense of being in front of a screen. The 3 light cones shot out by Guan Yu collided with the meteor hammer and caused a big explosion, causing a huge plume of smoke and dust. The power of Beika is still reflected in the binding after all, and a head-to-head confrontation with Zanpakutō, the direct attack system after Shirkai, will only be the result. But that's exactly what Guan Yu wanted. Before the smoke and dust dispersed, he used the Ryatsu perception ability attached to Origin of Ki body to capture Omida, who was about to go around the flank and rush over to start a melee battle, and directly shot had number 32. Yellow fire flashed at him. Unlike Songhua Ping, Huanghua Flash is known for its speed. Omida didn't expect to be caught by a layman, and he was immediately blown away by a whirlwind of golden flames. Although the scale is not as large as the Songhuoju, for Omida, the impact of Ryatsu can still be described as overwhelming. There is nowhere to hide, so he can only block the front with a 5-shaped head and muster the Ryatsu to offset its power as much as possible. The force of the impact pushed Omida so far that her back was against the wall. It took a while to endure it, only to find that except for the wall behind him, which was roughly the size and outline of his own. It was safe and sound, and a considerable part of it was washed away. Bang! The fence behind him was missing its pillars and fell to the ground, splashing a lot of dust. Baked number 61. 6-stand light prison. Without warning, 6 paths light wings came from all directions, with their hands covering Omida's entire torso. Can you even do 60? The 5-shaped head fell to the ground, and Omida quickly lost her balance and fell to her knees. Looking at his sweaty forehead with blue veins bursting out, he was obviously trying very hard to break free, but unfortunately, Ryatsu, who was at his ordinary level, wanted to forcibly break through the 61 from Guan Yue. No! Baker, that's a nonsense. I accept it, senior. Guan Yue didn't make him uncomfortable for too long, and took the initiative to untie the surgery. Damn, I was defeated by the junior who just joined the team with just 4 kid. Or was it captured alive? Am I falling behind? Now the students of the Spiritual Arts Academy are so strong. Omida slumped on the ground with an expression of doubt about life. Omida, it's not your fault. This guy is too abnormal. At this moment, Shumpa flashed over, the rare lack of sarcasm to Omida, which surprised Omida himself too much to put his head down. Senior Broken B, as you can see, what I am good at is kid. As for other things, I hope you don't expect too much from me. Guan Yu spread his hands and explained truthfully. Call me the leader. Broken B corrected a sentence and asked with confusion and curiosity. Guan Yu, who did your kid learn from? I haven't studied with anyone, but I've been doing my research all the time. I plan to go to Kid Public to continue my studies after graduation. Because I rarely fight, I don't know what my kid level is. Guan Yu knew what she meant, but it was a pity that there was no such good thing as apprenticeship waiting for him. The 6-stand light prison was the highest number in the kid that he mastered. However, after hearing those words, Bro B's expression became even more bizarre. In other words, you have trained kid to a level close to the captain's level just by self-study. What? Captain? This joke is not funny, Omido exclaimed. As a result, the Broken Bee scolded mercilessly. Shut up, you blind guy. Do you think Guan Yu is using all his strength? This, of course not. Being brought down by Sifa Kid is very telling. What's more, it's still breaking the chant. Omido is thick-skinned, but he's not stupid. Guan Yu's Ryatsu control is very good. Even I didn't realize that his Ryatsu can be comparable to the ordinary 3 seats. There is such a Ryatsu right after graduation. At present, only the one who graduated in 1 year and then was assigned to 5 seats. Ikamaru Jin, who went to the team, now has Guan Yu, and they're the best talents in the history of Spiritual Arts Academy. But this is secondary. The key is... Broken Bee turned his attention to Guan Yu again and exclaimed, your kid skills are so proficient that you have actually raised the effect abruptly. If you go to Kid Congregation, now you can easily become a high-ranking officer. Don't you mean close to the captain level? Why is there only a high-ranking officer? Omida scratched her head. It's different. The captains of Godii 13 are good at a lot of things. It's relatively easy to catch up with them in Kid, but it doesn't prove that I already have the fighting ability to match them. As for Kid, with everyone specializing in Kid, my advantage is not so obvious. Guan Yu smiled and said modestly, that's right. Broken Bee glared at Omida, then put her hand on Guan Yu's shoulder, and she became more and more pleasing to the eyes of this junior and subordinate who was like-minded. I'm also worried that I accidentally say too much, which will give you false self-perceptions. Now it seems that you can keep a clear and rational mind, which is good. In order to follow the leader's footsteps, I don't dare to slack off. Guan Yu doesn't have any lofty ambitions or huge ambitions yet. He just wants to develop in a low-key manner and think about other things when he has the power to protect himself. Only when people have enough to eat and drink will they consider how to meet their spiritual needs. I look forward to your performance in the team's martial arts in a week. The best. I just make a request. It doesn't matter if you can't meet it. If you can beat the current 3 seats, I will go and talk to Yoruchi-sama. Let you take his place. Seeing the expectation in Broken Bee's eyes, Guan Yu's expression froze. The current 3 seats? If I remember correctly, it should be that genius Urahara Kasuke, right? What a joke. He doesn't even know Shirkai yet. It takes less than a day to get the 8 wonders. And the other party is definitely Master Bankai at this moment, and he is about to take over as the captain of the 12th Division. To defeat a captain-level powerhouse by yourself in a week. Or Urahara Kisuke, the guy with more brains than anyone else. Even Kurosaki Ichigo can't do such a thing. But then again, as for martial arts, it's not a death fight. If you do it properly, you still have a chance of winning. Guan Yu thoughtful, celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 06. The essential skills of the Liver Emperor in the evening. Guan Yu dragged his exhausted body back to his dormitory, lying on the tatami, not wanting to move. The training intensity of stealth mobility is higher than that of most Shinigami, not to mention that the training madman is the instructor, just to understand his current strength level, so as to facilitate the subsequent formulation of a complete and efficient training plan. To put it bluntly, it is a small test to find out the bottom line, but it turned out to be the intensity of formal special training. Various projects came in turn, and Guan Yu was dazzled. It was dark when it was over. In the end, Broken Bee left with a content report and told him to gather at the square at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thinking of tomorrow, even the next 5 or 6 days will usher in a more terrifying special training. Guan Yu sighed involuntarily, sat up cross-legged, put Zanpakutō on his knees, put on a sword meditation posture, adjusted his breathing, mental state, and then natural exercise. From the half-opened window, the refreshing night breeze flowed in, and the stars were shining brightly, and the colorless air flowed with a blue shimmer. In reality, however, these rays are highly concentrated spiritual manifestations. Guan Yu is currently using Lu Ku Immortal Thief, which makes his body emit a huge suction force, like turning into a black hole Uzumaki, swallowing all the swarming spirits. The tiredness on his face and the weakness on his body gradually disappeared. It was like eating a big tonic, and his energy and spirit became vigorous again, and he regained his previous health and vitality. Now Guan Yu feels that his whole body has endless energy, and his state is even better than before joining the team, which shows that this day has not been in vain. It's small, but it's definitely growing. This is only the first day, and it's not even a serious cultivation. Lu Library Immortal Thief is simply a must-have skill for the Liver Emperor. Guan Yu exclaimed, "It's good now, and you will no longer be afraid of being tired from your practice." At present, the proficiency is not very high, and the control is not fine enough. When the proficiency is improved, it can be used secretly in the training process. Recover while consuming, and turn it to a training machine. By then, even the instructor will have to be boiled to death. Guan Yu thought with some wickedness. After that, he went to the cafeteria for a while and shocked the team members in charge of providing the meals, saying that he had never seen such edible food before, and one person worked for 30 people. In Soul Society, only those who are qualified to use spiritual power will feel hungry and thirsty, and need food and water to replenish spiritual power. But this does not mean that the stronger the spiritual power, the more food you will eat. Because spiritual power is naturally depleted very slowly, there is not that much that needs to be replenished. But Guan Yu is different. Everything he eats is broken down and absorbed. Soul Society's food itself is a collection of high-concentration spiritual particles. Guan Yu eats it in his stomach and then absorbs it perfectly through Lu Ku Xian Thief, which is equivalent to eating a spiritual elixir. For spirits, there are many benefits. In terms of effect, it is even better than normal cultivation. He is not eating now to fill his stomach. If he just wants to fill his stomach, it is enough to devour the spirits from the outside world, but there is no way to increase his strength. To become stronger, you have to eat. What is a mere 30 servings? As long as Guan Yu wants to. He can even sit in the cafeteria and eat continuously for 100 years, 1,000 years. If your teeth are good enough, let alone food. That is, dirt, steel, trees, and bricks can be eaten. It can be said that this is no longer a dry meal, but an alternative practice. Hiccup. Guan Yu snorted, and his face was not very good looking. To be honest, it's not enough to eat, but it's a bit disgusting to eat too much. Purely psychological factors. After eating and drinking, you want to take a bath. and Guan Yue, who returned to the room again, calmed down and performed a sword meditation before going to bed according to the usual practice. The so-called Dao Zen is to communicate with Zanpakutō and deepen the connection between the two parties. Of course, just listen to this. Guan Yue knew the origin of the sealed state and the principle of Zanpakutō's formation, so he didn't take the set of theories mentioned in the textbook of the Academy of Spiritual Arts seriously. The sealed state is created by two House Guan Yue. It has no characteristics in itself. It is an ordinary, empty knife. Because of this, sealed state has infinite possibilities. Through long-term sword meditation, Shinigami makes the sealed state resonate with his own spirit, and coupled with the catalysis of Ryatsu, he will absorb the elements of the bearer's soul to form a Zanpakutō with personal characteristics. The two key steps are spiritual resonance and Ryatsu catalysis. Spiritual Arts Academy only emphasizes spiritual practice, but never tells students why they should do spiritual practice and why they should insist on saber meditation. It is very mysterious, and it looks like a chance to see God's will, as if being able to shirkai means being rejected fate has chosen. Then some people wonder why I've been doing sword meditation for so long. Why can't I shirkai yet? At this time, the teacher will answer, your Ryatsu is not enough, keep practicing. Strictly speaking, that's true. Adhere to Sword Zen plus Ryatsu practice, and you can become shirkai sooner or later. But because the theory is not rigorous enough, too many Shinigami clearly meet the conditions, but the psychological construction is insufficient, and it is stuck at the door. A handful. The sealed state in Guan Yu's hand was received when he was reborn. And he also heard Zanpakutō's voice that year. Due to the lack of Ryatsu, there is no way to achieve liberation. But now it's different. After the first baptism of Qi Origin Stream and Lu Ku Immortal Thief during the day, I got huge benefits. Ryatsu has also risen from the last seat to the upper seat. Once the master becomes shirkai, there will be a wave of small promotions. Not only will Ryatsu reach the level of a vice captain, but his combat power will also be among the best among all the vice captains. With a desire for strength, Guan Yu's mind slowly immersed in silence, so that all the ripples called miscellaneous thoughts returned to peace. Gradually, he seemed to fall asleep. It seems to have died. The breath is all restrained, as if echoing the mind that has sunk into the inner world. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th. 07. Unexpectedly, I have become a mixed blood hanging on the wall. You finally came. When Guan Yu opened his eyes again, he heard a voice. I also saw a very strange world. Red maples, sakura flowers, willow leaves. It seems to include all the types of trees known to man. These trees hang down in the sky and grow above the endless white clouds without gaps. When the wind blows, there are countless leaves and petals fluttering in the sky. At this time, Guan Yu's feet had already accumulated a layer, and the original appearance of the earth could not be seen at all. Farther away, the scene remains the same. There is nothing between heaven and earth. There are neither mountains nor rivers, lakes and seas. Gorgeous and empty, seemingly vast but unspeakable depression. The world that seems to have everything and nothing is the inner world of Guan Yu. He quietly looked at the world. It seems that I have seen the most beautiful scenery, and I can't extricate myself for a long time. At this time, a pair of delicate and white arms like handicrafts wrapped around Guan Yu's waist from behind. He even felt someone put their chin on his shoulder affectionately. Why are you ignoring me? The people behind him whispered. From the sound, you can tell it's female. But other than that, there are no features that can be remembered by people. Even if you think about it carefully, you will find that the languages are not within the scope of human knowledge. If you don't speak up, you won't be recognized. If you don't maintain physical contact, even if you realize it for a short time, it will disappear from cognition in the next second. Guan Yu remained silent, like a sculpture, neither answering, nor asking for more information from the other party, completely treating the other party as non-existent. His behavior made the woman behind him couldn't help but chuckle. Sure enough, although I have never told you my name in the past few years, it does not prevent you from knowing my essence. Between people, It is not necessary to know the name in order to communicate with each other and understand each other deeply. On the contrary, ignore those appearances and go directly into the life of the other person. After a long time, you will naturally understand what kind of person the other person is. At that time, it doesn't matter whether you know the name or not, because even if you don't know the name, you can find a way for the master to take the initiative and make it surrender. How greedy! Even Shirkai can't do it, but he is already exploring the way of Bankai. But why do you do such a meaningless thing? Obviously, as long as you say you need me, I will do everything to help you no matter what. Maybe, Guan Yue whispered softly. This was the first sentence he uttered when he came to the inner world. As soon as the words came out, the wind stopped, the leaves stopped falling, and an unspeakable silence filled the sky and the earth. The woman smiled, but she felt very sad. Did you see it? This is what the world usually looks like. It will only be rejuvenated when you are in sword meditation, because only then can I feel it. To your heart. Beyond these, I want to clarify one thing first. The key to learning Bankai is to make Zanpakutō manifest and submit to the master. But since Zanpakutō also has his own mind, he is often reluctant to be controlled by others. If you were the master of the knife, what would you do? Hearing this, the woman chuckled and said, "Of course I broke it. What is the disobedient knife coming for?" Really? I used to stay in Rakongai for 4 years. At that time, I was desperate for power, so when I received the sealed state, I decided that my power should be used by myself. Zanpakutō's will is not at all. It's important, or rather, I didn't need such a will to compete with me for the dominance of this power from the very beginning. As if he understood something on his mind, Guan Yue closed his eyes and said slowly, "So when I heard your voice, my first thought was, what if it wasn't for you to? Did you just say it? As long as I say, I need you to you will come to help me." It sounds very touching, but it seems to me that it is completely redundant. Using my own power to ask for help, don't you think something is not quite right about other people's opinions? So you want to use your newly acquired power to change the structure of Zanpakutō, erase my existence, and use the power of Zanpakutō as you wish. The woman exposed his mind calmly. That's right, Guan Yue admitted it generously. One of the 8 magical skills, 100 refinements of divine machines, can even create Zanpakutō, let alone a mere transformation. In fact, even without the 8 wonders, he originally planned to learn from Kurithushi Mayuri, transforming his Zanpakutō with kid and technology. Then why don't you do it? The woman laughed. Guan Yue sighed. Because of what you call new power, I suddenly realized one thing. It turned out that my desire for power was nothing but fear and anxiety. Now the fear has disappeared, and the anxiety has retreated. Now, I don't need to see you as a hindrance anymore. To be precise, I didn't need to be hostile to you from the beginning because you will not disobey my orders like other Zanpakutō. You are special, and you are affected by the existence of the system in the process of forming. For you, serving the master is a matter of course. But I have never realized this, and treat you as those unruly sword spirits. When you said to me, "You are finally here," at the beginning, you actually meant you finally accepted me, right? It is indeed a very painful thing to be rejected by the master you are loyal to all the time. I couldn't hear your name before, and even if I came to this world, I couldn't see your figure. That was my subconscious refusing to communicate with you. And when I gave up this idea, I could be like, now, it's easy to feel your presence. The woman didn't speak, but added some strength to the hands holding Guan Yue's waist. Guan Yue covered the slender hands on his waist with his own hands. The palms overlapped, and the souls seemed to be one. A silver-blue Ryatsu emerged from the feet of the two, rising and lingering like a mist, gently wrapping the two of them. The woman's figure gradually became transparent. Before disappearing completely, she whispered something in Guan Yue's ear. From the beginning to the end, Guan Yue didn't know the woman behind him. What his Zanpakutō's body looked like. The vision suddenly changed. After leaving the inner world, he returned to the dormitory of the 2nd Division. Amazingly, Guan Yue held the sealed state that was originally on his knees in his hands. At this time, the surface of the sealed state and the scabbard is wrapped in silver-blue Ryatsu, which is like a mist lingering and rising, beautiful and solemn. Seemingly aware of Guan Yue's gaze, a wisp of Ryatsu drifted over and brushed his cheeks, as if stroking gently. Is this Zanpakutō under the influence of the system? It feels like a doting old mother with no limit. Guan Yu's expression is slightly subtle. To be honest, if it weren't for the system cheating, he would never have thought of this level. As we all know, Zanpakutō is based on the soul of Shinigami and takes the sealed state as the container, which is condensed and formed under the catalysis of Ryatsu. Just as Kurosaki Ichigo is a human being with the powers of Shinigami, Nether, and Quincy mixed together, so Zanpakutō has elements of diversity. Although the system has been pretending to be dead, it does not change the fact that it exists. When condensing one's Zanpakutō, it is inevitable to suffer some influences. I didn't expect that I would become a mixed blood hanging on the wall, celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 08. Who is training who? For nearly a week, Guan Yue went through a hellish practice. White hits and Shuanpa occupy the largest proportion. In addition, there's also the slashing technique that Secret Mobility is good at. It is very different from the style of mainstream kendo. It is a murder technique specially used for assassination and raids. It was used by the public, so white hits and Kid became the first choice for combat. Shuanpa and Ryatsu are the bases. Treat them like breath and have the highest priority. Broken Bee deserves to be the new captain of the 2nd Division shortly after Yoruichi's departure. At this stage, her strength is very good, which is obviously higher than the normal vice captain. According to Guan Yu's judgment, she should have reached the stage of Zanpakutō incarnation, which is similar to the Abarai Renji before the original book asked Byakuya to duel. Between the captain and the vice captain, there is such an instructor who is willing to teach and also serve as a sparring partner. Guan Yu said that it would be a lie to not be moved. He wondered why no one wanted such a good girl. There are flaws. Accompanied by a cold voice, a sharp kick came towards him. The atmosphere scorched hot air due to friction, and there was a creepy hissing sound, as if it was not the girl's slender toes, but a naginata. Guan Yu didn't choose to lean back to dodge. He did it once a few days ago, and then he was almost compressed, kicked like a sword, and he learned his lesson after that. The so-called combat experience is actually such a thing. I saw Guan Yu squatted down with his legs out of the ground and broke the stance of the Broken Bee, but was seen by the Broken Bee at a glance, twisted his body with the flexibility of a gymnast, and lifted his legs off the ground at the same time. Appearing on top of Guan Yu's head, he pulled out the rib behind his waist and stabbed the back of his neck. Guan Yu could only slap the ground and move around, trying to avoid the opponent's blade. However, the Broken Bee seemed to have some deep hatred with him, pressing him step by step, giving him no room to breathe or think. Fist, kick, and slashing are in perfect harmony with each other, and half-hearted players like Guan Yu can't see any flaws at all. However, Broken Bee won't make the key blow that kills him, and will always switch to other moves, so that Guan Yu can continue to struggle. The two fought like this for more than an hour. In the end, it ended temporarily with Broken Bee taking the initiative to stop it. Rest for a while. Sui Feng was panting heavily. Sweat wet the bangs on his forehead. Not only that, but the Xingjuan uniform on his body was almost soaked. With her hands on her knees, she looked at Guan Yu with a mixed look of unwillingness, surprise, annoyance, and so on. Now that this is the case, Broken Bee is almost at a loss as to whether he is training the other party or the other party is training him. No instructor trains students, but before the students get tired, they can't hold it anymore. Where in the world is there such a thing? UBD, how did you do it? Your physical strength wasn't so strong on the first day. Broken Bee forcibly swallowed the word pervert back. Maybe it's because I'm a big eater. Guan Yu was also sweating profusely. But compared to a pair of Broken Bees who were exhausted by physical strength, his condition was not a little bit better. His face was ruddy, and he was full of energy, as if he had just finished warming up. In fact, he secretly called Lu Library Immortal Thief to restore his physical strength. The Broken Bee, who doesn't know the truth, is angry and hateful, and has a bit of indescribable jealousy and envy. I heard from people in the cafeteria that you eat food for dozens of people at every meal. There is such a thing, so my physical strength is growing rapidly, and I suspect that I may have awakened some special ability. Some of the 8 wonders can be exposed, and some cannot be exposed. Some supernatural effects are too special, such as restricting the spirit to control the spiritual body and devour the spiritual body. This supernatural technique is easy to touch the nerves of some big people and cause some unnecessary targeting. Fenghou Qimen and Daluo Cave Temple involve time and space, but the Kid Forbidden technique is explicitly prohibited. As for the remaining 5th gate spells, their effects are still within the acceptable range of Soul Society, and they can not only be used openly, but also as a bargaining chip to improve their status. Even, Guan Yue has planned to show it in tomorrow's team performance. So take advantage of this time to vaccinate the broken bees and make a foreshadowing, so as not to deliberately hide and tuck them for this period of time, thus destroying the friendly relationship that was finally established between the two parties. Broken Bee did not suspect him, but instead put forward his own opinion. Special ability? Couldn't it be brought by your Zanpakutō? With Ryatsu, who is almost the same as me, it stands to reason that you should have been able to Shirkai long ago. Guan Yue has grown a lot in the past few days. White Hits, Chopping, and Shumpa have all made significant progress. She doesn't know much about Kid's progress because after only 2 days of teaching, there is nothing to teach, so let Guan Yue himself go explore and prepare to help find a new instructor after the performance is over. All that aside, the biggest improvement is Ryatsu. It has reached a level comparable to that of Broken Bee. In other words, Guan Yue is also qualified to practice Bankai. Guan Yue himself is not surprised by his own progress. Origin of Ki Body can magnify every point of cultivation several times, which is equivalent to an experience bonus buff. Fight monsters with experience pills to fill in the progress bar. The metaphor may be a bit off the style of painting, but the principle is this principle. How can such two-pronged progress be not big? I did master Shirkai, but it should have nothing to do with Zanpakutō. I think maybe my Kid technique will have a new breakthrough soon, Guan Yue said with a natural look. His words touched the knowledge blind spot of Broken Bee, and he had never heard of a similar theory before. Can Kid break through? How to break through? Learning to sequence higher, Kid? Even so, it won't bring such a huge change to the body, right? I hope your intuition works, and if you feel any discomfort, report it to me in time. Broken Bee thought about it or gave up thinking. Anyway, as long as it can become stronger and does not violate the law of Shinigami, then there is nothing to worry about. Understood, team leader. Guan Yue pushed the boat and agreed. Phew, I'm almost recovering. Let's continue. Broken Bee sighed and straightened up. Guan Yue's mouth twitched slightly, and he also said that this girl is not a physical monster herself. After such a short time, her physical strength is almost recovered? After all, who is training whom? Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 09. Broken Bee wants to cut someone down the next day. The team's martial arts performance was held as scheduled. The meeting point is in the forest outside Rakongai North 50 District, far away from the living place of the soul, and it is a natural area with no trace of development. The terrain here is steep, surrounded by mountains, and the vegetation is lush and dense. You can't see the sun when you look up, only large clouds and mist that can't be dissipated. If you don't know Shuinpa, it will take at least 10 days and a half to pass through this area. But it is such a deserted wilderness, and at this time, more than 200 Shinigami dressed in death fighters swarmed. It's weird that so many people are gathered together. Not only is there no riot and noise, but also there is no sense of disobedience, as if it was born to be here, and it is extremely natural to integrate into the environment. Contrary to the 11th Division, which is swaggering like a march every time, the 2nd Division gives the world the feeling that things are moisturizing and silent. Guan Yue mixed in the crowd and looked very low-key. Everyone was quietly waiting for someone to show up. No one waited too long, and suddenly, a figure appeared in the center of the crowd, and soon another figure in 2s and 3s followed. It was Shihoin Yuruchi and her escort, including Broken Bees, and several high-ranking officers headed by Urahara Kisuke. This time the 2nd team is basically complete. Those who didn't come were all carrying out important tasks and couldn't get away, and Vice Captain Omida Nozomi didn't come either. presumably taking care of the team affairs for Yoruichi. It is because of them that Yoruichi can play so happily. Well, since everyone is here, I'll make a long story short. Wearing Captain Haori, Yoruichi, who has not grown his hair as long as 100 years later, has his hands on his hips, his face is full of interest, and his golden cat-like vertical pupils shone with shrewd colors. Has everyone seen what I have in my hand? Does anyone know what it is? Wenkeo. The team members who were closer saw Yoruichi's raised right hand holding a seemingly decayed and depleted purple flower, and instantly came to the correct answer based on his own experience. Actually, it is correct. That's right, Wing Chao. Yoruichi nodded with satisfaction, and the smile on the corner of his mouth grew stronger. This is the team flower of our second team. No one should recognize this thing, right? Indeed, Shinigami still has a strong sense of belonging to his team. Even if he is not interested in flowers and plants, he will know the iconic things of his team. Guan Yue is no exception. On the first day of joining the team, I got the rookie handbook that recorded some rules and common sense of the second team. The cover is a picture of Wang Chao. The topic of this exercise is that everyone other than the deputy captain and the guards will go to the neighborhood to find Wenkeo. The scope is not limited, but the time is limited to 2 hours. Whoever is first, and so on, when I count to 3. However, the moment Yoruichi's voice fell, Guan Yu was surprised to find that most of the team members disappeared in place. One by one, they used Shunpa to fly in all directions, apparently aiming at the Wenkeo that might grow nearby. These guys are this time I really plan to recognize Shin Suda III. Not far away, Yoruichi scratched his head and complained. Well, I have to blame you, Miss Yoruichi, who used this trick to fool a lot of teammates when you were playing with ghosts and catching ghosts. A man with brown and messy hair sneered. Hey, Kisuk, why are you still here? I'm talking about people below the vice captain. You, the third seat, should take the lead. Don't be lazy. Yoruichi lifted the corners of his eyes and looked at Urahara Kisuk with some contempt. That is to say, Lord Yoruichi, this man is too rambunctious. I suggest to cancel his seat, so that other team members can learn from it. If it is useful, he is only suitable for this kind of usage. Hesitant to go down the drain. Let's talk about it. Anyway, this guy won't be in the second division for long. Speaking of Kisuk, are you really going to be lazy to the end? No, I'm trying to be lazy, but what's even weirder now is, it seems that I'm not alone in this idea. Urahara Kisuk waved his hand quickly and pointed in a certain direction with some confusion. Yoruichi and Bumblebee turned their heads to look. Then, Broken Bee's expression became very exciting. No, because the person Urahara Kisuk was referring to was Guan Yu. Guan Yu also noticed the strange gazes from the senior team members of the second division. The others were fine, but facing Broken Bee's gaze, he could only pretend to be in the scenery and didn't dare to look at them at all. Let the sharp and scorching gaze, like a scorching hot blade, scratch over and over again on his body. After all the team members who participated in the performances ran away. Even the newcomers who have just joined see the seniors moving and run away subconsciously. Only Guan Yu stays in place. Oh yes, and Urahara Kisuk. The two of them haven't acted yet. Bumblebee, is that your acquaintance? Yoruichi sensed the blatant anger of the little valet and couldn't help but become curious. Is my subordinate, a newcomer who just joined a week ago. Broken Bee's facial muscles twitched as she forcibly endured it. It can be seen that if it wasn't for the scruples of Yoruichi's presence and being a non-participant during the performance, she might have rushed to fight Guan Yu at this moment. After training you hard day and night for a week, I expect you to be active in martial arts. It is best to step on Urahara Kisuk and oust him justifiably, but the result is, Sir Yoruichi, I'm applying for a temporary resignation, and please give me the right to interfere in the martial arts. No, please allow me to join the martial arts too. No! Yoruichi grinned. Lord Yoruichi, Miss Broken Bee, don't be so angry. You see, I'm still here. Even if we want to be at the bottom, it's the two of us together. With me in the 3 seats, everyone shouldn't be too harsh on him as a newcomer. Urahara Kisuk had a confident expression on his face. Saying this made Broken Bee even more angry. Hey Kisuk, you guys are using other people as an excuse even if you want to be lazy. Yoruichi saw through Urahara Kisuk's mind instantly. It's been seen through. Then there's no other way. One grass, right? I don't know where the most recent growth is. If you can find out that this is the way to play this time, you can make some preparations in advance. It's not right, it's better. It is said that my preparation is not comprehensive enough. Urahara Kisuke sighed. That's what I want. Yorichi smiled proudly. At this time, a figure came running quickly from a distance, and there were two people chasing behind him. Obviously want to snatch or destroy Wenkeo. In fact, if I really want to say, this performance is completely tailor-made for hidden mobility. Looking for a designated target in an uninhabited field is a test of the team member's ability to search the terrain. After finding the Wenkeo, bring it back to the designated place. This is to exercise the team member's ability to escort important people and items. They will be attacked by others at any time along the way. With the quality of the Wenkeo, in the absence of perfect preservation methods, it will be destroyed if you are not careful. In the end, attacking others in turn, destroying the grass on the other party, or robbing them, this is exactly what secret mobility is good at: assassination and interception. It seems absurd and rough like a child's play, but it is actually a true portrayal of most of the tasks performed by secret mobility on weekdays. Oh, has someone come back? The efficiency is still... Yorichi noticed the approaching team members, but before she could finish her sigh, a sudden burst of Ryatsu, which was infinitely close to the captain's level, erupted nearby. It was like a shock to everyone present. It's not just too sudden, the key is too close. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 10. Today, I will be the water ghost. The huge Ryatsu spread out and mixed with the air. Because it was too late to dilute and disperse, the air quality in this area of 100 meters suddenly rose, as if it was filled with lead, and it even made a thunderous roar. The heavy pressure of the high-density spirits suddenly fell, and the three soldiers who were chasing only felt that their eyes were dark. Their limbs could not use their strength, and they had to stop to repair. A lot of sweat visibly seeped out of his face. His pupils dilated and contracted. His body muscles were as stiff as a piece of iron, and even moving a finger became an extravagant hope. The body is fighting against this state instinctively, but instead it causes a rapid decline in physical strength, and gradually even the strength to stand is lost. They wanted to do something to get out of the ordeal when someone walked up to them. The team member who ran at the front looked up with great difficulty. Because of Ryatsu's shock, there seemed to be a lingering haze in front of him, and the powerful pressure pulled down the space. If it was a dark cloud, then those haze were countless rain lines. An extremely young boy came across with a knife. His seemingly thin body was wrapped in silver-blue Ryatsu visible to the naked eye, as if surrounded by clouds and mist, setting off the whole person as if a god had descended into the world. Guan Yue stared blankly at his colleague Ryatsu, who was already kneeling on the ground in front of him, who couldn't bear him anymore, and without a word, shot Baekut in a low sequence, knocking him out. So did the other two. Finally, he gathered up Ryatsu, bent down, and picked up the two weeds that his colleague had placed in his arms. One of had Chong. Facing the strange gazes of Shivan Yorichi and the others, the examiner returned to the meeting point. Guan Yu picked up a random place and raised his hand, and suddenly released a Ryatsu shock from his fingertips. The power is quite strong, comparable to several grenades exploding at the same time, punching a large hole 1 meter deep on the ground and 2 meters in diameter and width, and then throwing the Wenkeo in his hand. After doing all this, Guan Yu threw a hand at the Broken Bee's, meaning it's just a tactic to see that I'm not lazy. The corners of Broken Bee's eyes twitched not far away, not saying anything for a while. That's okay. Although staying at the finish line and robbing the opponent is not a glorious method, the secret mobility itself is not very glorious, and completing the task is the most important thing. So you still have his hand? Broken Bee, where did you get this kid from? Ryatsu with such strength is not an ordinary person, but I have no impression at all. Yorichi touched his chin, curious. I don't have an impression either. It looks very young. Could it be the genius who is said to have graduated from the Spiritual Arts Academy in just 1 year? I remember it was called Ikamara Jin, and Miss Broken Bee was the one who took him from the 5th division. Did you dig it? Urahara Kasuke pondered. His name is Guan Yue. He just graduated from Spiritual Arts Academy, and his subordinates have recruited him into the criminal army and trained him strictly. There is no doubt that he is a super genius who will not lose to Ikamaru Jin because he is too biased. So the reputation is not obvious. Broken Bee straightened her waist and responded seriously. So that's the case, so it's really a rare talent. Ryatsu with this level can be qualified for the position of captain with just a little training for a few decades. Yoruichi nodded slightly, obviously very satisfied with the appearance of such a good seedling under his command. It was like finding an interesting toy. Ms. Broken Bee, you haven't said what Mr. Guan Yue is best at? Urahara Kasuke came over and asked flatteringly. Broken Bee gave him a sideways glance and sneered. If you want to know, just pull out your Zanpakutō and slash at him, so that your curiosity will be satisfied. You're right, Kasuke, don't forget, you're still doing martial arts now. Look at the loot they've collected, and then look at you still dawdling here. This isn't your style. Yoruichi frowned slightly, looking at him suspiciously. Hearing this, Urahara Kasuke smiled wryly. You can't blame me for that. Just after Mr. Guan Yue came back after dealing with those 3 people, I felt a vague sense of crisis, if I guess correctly. Mr. Yue doesn't want me out of here. Hearing this, Yoruichi and Broken Bee looked at Guan Yue almost subconsciously. It was found that Guan Yue was looking at them. To be precise, he was staring at Urahara Kasuke alone. In an instant, everything became clear. Don't blame me, I was forced to do this, but I didn't mean to play with flowers to gain attention. Guan Yue muttered. Where can people who are unfamiliar with life here go to find Fenghou? I haven't had time to learn about terrain search and intelligence gathering. Ryatsu's perception can only find people or Ryatsu's special things, and ordinary things like grass are everywhere. At this stage, he still can't identify the subtle differences that must exist with the key origin flow. On the contrary, it is the strength of the feet which may still have an advantage. After all, Shunpa had a good foundation in the beginning, and after another week of assault training, and with some tips from the 8 magic skills, those old team members could only stare at his back. But it's not faster than anyone else. Once you step into this forest, it is equivalent to stepping into the battlefield where concealed mobility is best at with various agencies plotting against each other, intrigue. How can it be described as a chaos? The martial arts rules designed by Yoruichi are like a duck to water for the seniors of the 2nd Division, but it is a completely unfamiliar battlefield for Guan Yue, who is just getting started. Therefore, if you want to profit in this complex situation, you cannot follow their lead. If you have Fenghou, you can grab it. It doesn't matter if you don't have it. It's just one less competitor. I can't compare to you, but compared to fighting strength and physical strength, I can beat you all alone. Today, I will be the water ghost. This is Guan Yue's strategy. Avoid your weaknesses and use your strengths. Not only that, Guan Yue intends to drag Urahara Kasuke here before the big army comes back, so he can't finish the task smoothly. When the time is up, Urahara Kasuke's score is 0, and no matter how many grasses he grabs from others, his score is better than Urahara Kasuke. At that time, Broken Bee will have an excuse to attack. As for whether he can replace Urahara Kasuke as the new 3-seed officer, to be honest, Guan Yue really doesn't care. With his growth rate, after Hirako Shinji and others are run by Aizen, they will definitely be able to win the position of captain. So the main purpose of a martial arts exercise was to repay the debt of gratitude that Sui Feng had been training hard during this time. For this reason, Urahara Kasuke must be the 2nd to last, even if he is the 2nd to last. This is Guan Yue's realization. And he also believed Urahara Kasuke and Yoruichi must have felt this realization from themselves. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 11. Tongshinla Miss Broken Bee. I don't know anything. Don't ask me. Well, the truth is clear at a glance. What are you going to do? Kasuke. Yoruichi gloated on the sidelines. Urahara Kasuke said with a smile. Actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. You don't have to run around to have someone deliver to your door. I personally still respect this form of service. If the merchants in Siriidii do this in the future, then I can do it. Anshin is doing research in her residence. After all, he left from Yoruichi and the others. Just like Guan Yue, he stayed at the nearest place to the end and didn't leave. apparently intending to pursue the same tactics. Guan Yu sighed. He roughly guessed what Urahara Kasuke was thinking. It's not provocation, but dealing with errands. Anyway, as long as you participate in it, the requirements for grades are not high. Just don't be at the bottom, so that you won't be scolded too badly. Typical a whole? Victory over such a person is not only lacking in any sense of accomplishment, but rather boring and uninteresting. Guan Yu decided to ignore this competitor. Anyway, when the opponent chooses the same tactics, the result is already doomed. To put it badly, Urahara Kasuke's final result is largely determined by his mood. After 10 minutes, someone found Wang Chao and brought it back. She is a pretty lady. There was no one else behind him, and it seemed that he had either successfully thrown off the competitor or avoided the competitor's eyes and ears. Either way was commendable, but her performances ended there. First, Urahara Kasuke suddenly appeared behind the teammate, and a neat hand knife knocked him out, and then Six Paths' light wings attacked from all directions. It was Guan Yu's hand. A shot of 6 sticks of light doesn't count. The fingertips use Ryatsu as the ink, and draw the silver-blue lines in the air like clouds and water, and then a frame emerges, including the lines, thus forming a magic talisman completely constructed by Ryatsu, emitting a dazzling light. At the same time, it also presents a mysterious atmosphere. In the next moment, this spirit talisman burst into force, releasing a monstrous flame. The blue torrent was as majestic and turbulent as the Milky Way poured down from 9 days. But on the way, it split into 2 and surrounded Urahara Kasuke. Baikud number 63. Chain Lock. The 6 Paths' light wings attacked fiercely, and the flames approached. Urahara Kasuke had no choice but to use the ultra-long distance Shuinpa. So he had to release the more advanced Baikud, summon the thick kid chain to wave it, and forcibly smash the 6-stick light prison at the same time. His chains were also broken into countless spiritual children. Using a more advanced technique actually just cancels each other out. What that meant, Urahara Kasuke knew no better. Yeah, I'm really good at Kid. Although I'm not very good at Kid, it's the first time I've been beaten by Kid head-on. With a smile, he said to Guan Yu, who was standing on the big tree outside Yanlu, overlooking him. Stop joking. Being able to use Kid to offset my Kid is an amazing thing in itself. Stop gossip. Either destroy the Wenkeo on her body, or hand it over, or we'll have a good fight here. Guan Yu said calmly. Compared to this, what I'm more curious about is, you just released the blue fire pendant without chanting, right? Is it still a complete form with such a powerful power? Urahara Kasuke narrowed his eyes, and his curiosity as a scientist was stirring. Who knows? Guan Yu smiled, and didn't mean to explain it to him at all. How can I exchange her for you? Urahara Kasuke placed the women's team lightly on the ground and raised his hands to signal that he was definitely not doing any tricks. She's already my trophy, and the so-called deal doesn't hold at all. Baikud number 9, Bengluan. Guan Yu was in the middle of speaking and suddenly released Kid, but not at Urahara Kasuke, but at a corner outside Yanlu, throwing a ball of golden Ryatsu. Like an unpredictable prophet, a figure jumped out just in time to hit him and was tightly bound by the rope turned into a golden Ryatsu. At the same time, Guan Yu used his other hand to smoothly volley to draw a magic talisman. This time, the talisman was no longer a gushing flame, but more than a dozen iron rods flew out at a speed that was difficult to detect with the naked eye, directly pinning the several stalkers trying to bypass the flame to the ground without exception. Although he couldn't see what was happening outside through the flames, Urahara Kasuke could tell from the flash of Ryatsu that another team member was caught by Guan Yu. But this time, he finally saw Guan Yu's tactics clearly. Of course, Guan Yu didn't mean to hide either. If you want to intercept hundreds of team members with just one person, even if your personal combat strength is excellent, there will be times when you can't take care of it, but as long as you have sufficient firepower and a wide range of strikes, you can build a line of defense that no one can pass. This is also the main reason why Guan Yu thinks Urahara Kasuke can't beat himself by choosing the same tactic. The difference in combat efficiency is too great. He can even cause trouble for Urahara Kasuke as he does now, while hitting the other team members with precision, not letting a single fish slip through the net. Amazing technique. This is the first time I've seen people use Kid like this. Even the current Chief Kid, who has gone out from the 2nd Division before, will not have similar techniques. It's not so much a technique, I think it's more like a special ability. Urahara Kasuke opened his eyes wide, his expression full of deep amazement. Kid can be used as one of the 4 major skills of Shinigami. Naturally, it is not that simple. In addition to the commonly used Had and Bakud, there are special spells such as Cade and Enchantment. The release of Kid through the medium of a spell is rare enough. Not to mention the temporary, material-free, quick creation of spells, and then on such a simple and rough basis, instead of chanting, a complete mainstream spell is released. This technical ability is so high that even a kid genius would feel that he is talking in his sleep. If someone really wants to do this kind of thing, it has absolutely nothing to do with kid skills. It's purely a matter of personal ability. In short, there must be some unique element that plays a decisive role. People who don't have this element, even if kid uses it, no matter how good it is, you can't learn. It can only be said that Urahara Kasuke's intuition is very close to the truth. In a sense, Guan Yu's Tongshinlu should be regarded as his innate spell. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 12. Virtual group invasion. Are you really awakening any special ability? Yuruchi and Broken Bee watched the battle from a distance, and they could easily catch Guan Yu's every move with their eyesight. Seeing Guan Yu volleying the talisman to release Kid, the bee face was stunned. Because someone's food is more impressive, so she still remembers the reasons given by someone, but she never expected it to happen. Isn't this Zanpakutō's ability? Yuruchi asked Broken Bee in surprise. No, although I haven't seen it before, he said it should have nothing to do with Zanpakutō. Here comes a question. What is this ability? How could Kid be released in this way? The speed of drawing talismans in the sky is a few points faster than Kid, which is released by the Broken Chant, and it can even replace the incantations and play a 10% effect. It seems that my 2nd Division team is going to have another big Kid leader, Yuruchi said with emotion. The current Chief Tessai Tsukabshi used to be her subordinate. Now there is another Guan Yu. It is more of an unspeakable depression than a sense of achievement. Secret Mobile is about to become a talent training base for Kid. And as soon as you will cultivate a Kid Marshal. Why is no one coming to pick her up? It also looks a little bit like Broken Bee, but Broken Bee is too young, and it takes at least dozens or hundreds of years to be on its own. Suddenly, a strange Ryatsu burst into Guan Yu's perception. Then a long howl came from the depths of the forest. It's as long as a whale's chirping, but it's not ethereal. Only a void that no amount of emotions and desires can fill. Guan Yu and Urahara Kasuke looked at each other, and both caught the solemn look in each other's eyes. This Ryatsu. False. In the past, when I was a senior in the Spiritual Arts Academy, I had a real battle with the artificial virtual. The nature of the two Ryatsu is very similar. Considering that this is the periphery of Rakangai, the appearance of the virtual is actually a very normal thing. Godii 13 is an organization established not only to protect Siriidii, but also to protect the inhabitants of Rakangai from the virtual. There are 80 districts in each direction of Rakangai, southeast, northwest, and the total number of districts is 320 districts. The further back, the higher the probability of false appearance. Godii 13 sends people to Rakangai every day to clean up the ghosts that have invaded the Soul Society. But Rakangai's size and Shinigami's small numbers meant that everyone faced a high frequency of battles, resulting in a high death rate. Shinigami has also become a bona fide high-risk occupation. It's not surprising when he died. Guan Yu didn't understand the meaning of this sentence until he became Shinigami. Master Kubo's poetic language is placed in the real Soul Society, brewed entirely in the quagmire of death. Lord Yuruchi? Bumblebee instinctively placed her hand on Zanpakutō's hilt and looked around warily. Don't be nervous, Broby. Why do you think I put the martial arts location here? Yuruchi put his hand on her shoulder and looked calm. Could it be that, as you think, I knew from the very beginning that there are ghosts here? Rather, I've been looking for them for a long time. The wandering soul settlements in the North 50 district are often invaded by ghosts, but no matter how many times they are cleared, it is useless. They will appear one after another soon, so I suspect that there is a virtual nest nearby, and this time I just asked everyone to help find it, and it looks like I found it. Yuruchi-sama. This is too. Broken Bee was a little helpless. The team members are competing fiercely, and it is not surprising to see casualties. In this situation, if you encounter Sue, isn't that giving Sue a head? I know it's not right, but a lot has been cleared during this time, and the frequency of occurrence has also decreased. It is obvious that there are not many left in this group of phantoms, and they may hide and continue to gather companions at this time. It's annihilation. Yuruchi interrupted. Now the combat power of these virtuals is extremely weak. Although the team members don't know about the existence of virtuals, they will not know of our arrival. So who do you think will take more advantage in this situation? Don't forget that we are the second round. Team. The Broken Bee slowly calmed down after hearing the words. Indeed, too much risk is only relative. If the strength and quantity of the virtual are within the range that the team members can handle, then it will not be a problem. This is the barren mountains of Rakangai. What's so strange about the void? It is precisely because the rules formulated by Yuruchi are simple that he must use his imagination as much as possible. Take more factors into consideration and act more vigilantly and cautiously. As long as half of the ability of secret mobility can be exerted, there is no possibility of being attacked or cheated by ordinary phantoms under the strength. The competition between the players does not hurt each other's lives. This is an old tradition of martial arts. Even so, if he is still killed by Sue, there is nothing to explain except poor ability and bad luck. After all, the second division and secret mobility are not that easy to advance. Yuruchi suddenly sneered. But then again, everything I consider is just my own guess. What if there is a stronger and smarter Sue lurking here? This possibility cannot be ignored. I'm betting the lives of my team members on this kind of actual combat drill, so I let Kasuk participate. Although this guy likes to be lazy, this is just right as a safety valve. He won't compete with the team members, and he can stand up to eliminate danger at critical moments, but he just didn't expect him to be blocked here by Guan Yue, resulting in the safety valve failed to function. If there is an emergency, it's better for me to rush over faster than let him rush over. Aha. Broken Bee was stunned. Guan Yu's main reason for targeting Urahara Kasuk is her. Strictly speaking, she is the culprit who disrupted Yuruchi's overall plan. The number is increasing, which is not normal. Since Guan Yu mastered Origin of Ki Body, his perception of Ryatsu has become extremely good. Even if he is separated by 50 districts, he can clearly perceive the dozen or so powerful and unmatched Ryatsu in Seriidii. It doesn't matter whether the masters of these Ryatsu have actively released their Ryatsu or not. Noticing something can be because it is yelling, or it can be too big to ignore. Guan Yu's case falls into the second category. Because of this, he felt abnormal. If there's something wrong here, it should have been discovered long ago. But it was only now that the virtual Ryatsu was caught. The arrival of one or two tearing spaces can be said to be an accidental phenomenon, but now the number has exceeded 10, and it is still increasing, except for the Menos Grande deliberately opened his black cavity and sent a large number of phantoms to the Soul Society. Besides, Guan Yu can't think of any other explanation. Mr. Guan Yu, let's truce first. I have a bad feeling. Although Miss Yuruchi didn't say it, we'd better prepare for support. Urahara Kasuk had a serious expression, swept away the casualness of the past. You're right, Urahara 3 seats. I'll go to the empty Ryatsu location to check the situation. And by the way, support the team members who may appear nearby. As for the rest, you can discuss with Captain Yuruchi. With a wave of Guan Yu's hand, the Tsang Yin surrounding like a city wall instantly extinguished, and Kid, who was trapping others, also dissipated. After doing all of this, he himself left Shunpa directly and flew deeper into the forest. Urahara Kasuk wanted to dissuade him, but before he could say anything, Guan Yu disappeared, and finally, he could only smile bitterly. Hope nothing happens. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 13. Void. My name is Demolition Truck Guan Yu. Shuinpa has been taught by broken bees, and it can only be described as rapid progress. Looking down from the sky, a figure keeps flashing and disappearing, like a teleportation. Every time it appears and disappears, it will span a distance of tens of meters. The lush jungle and the steep and rugged mountain road can't stop him at all. Even if there is no road ahead, you can jump and sprint to the end. The essence of Shuinpa is to release spiritual power to create a foothold underfoot. This foothold acts much like a rocket thruster. Although the principle is simple, it is not easy to make good use of Shuinpa. Guan Yu has mastered the key origin stream, which means that he has mastered the reins of spiritual power, and the Quincy master is not as good as him. In this case, cultivating Shuinpa and Kid can be said to be like a duck in water. In less than 5 minutes, it crossed 2 mountains in a row. As the distance approached, the virtual Ryatsu rushed towards him like a thunderstorm. Facing strong winds requires more physical strength, and facing thunderstorms requires overcoming inner fear. This is the essence of emptiness, like the embodiment of natural disasters. Guan Yu pressed the handle of the knife and stood above the void dozens of meters high. Just in front of him, less than 200 meters away, there was a huge mouth of a pitch-black abyss. The edge of the crack was like teeth which could be neatly closed. This is not a normal boundary rift. Rather, it is a black cavity dominated by a certain phantom will. At this time, a large number of bizarre phantoms were still pouring out of the black cavity, and a dozen of them appeared almost every second, and they kept chasing several figures in Death Tyrant costumes. You don't have to guess to know it's the second team. Seeing that his colleagues were in trouble, Guan Yu naturally couldn't stand idly by. He raised his hand and drew a straight silver-blue pattern in the air. The pattern was compressed and condensed at one point, releasing a majestic thunder light that swept across the ground, set off a terrifying explosion. This is just the simplest of Hadsforth Bailei's charm. Urahara Kasuk probably thought that the talisman he saw was Guan Yu's limit, but it was not. The lower the sequence, and the simpler the structure of Kid, the less difficult it was to draw talismans in the air. When the proficiency is high in the future, as long as you can't even use your hands, you will be able to manifest hundreds or thousands of magic symbols in an instant. Several Shinigami from the 2nd Division were startled, and when they looked back, they saw a ravine with a length of dozens of meters across the mountain. Several of them were buried in it, and many more stopped. Don't dare to cross the Thunder Pond half a step. You are? Seeing Guan Yu in the sky, the team members looked blank. At this time, new figures appeared one after another. They are all aware of the traces of the virtual, and temporarily put aside their competition with each other to support the colleagues of the second team on the scene. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the knife, he killed more than 10 virtuals with a sneak attack. Then they gathered together, armed with swords. It's not that they don't want to continue fighting, but a very strong and unknown Ryatsu came from the black cavity, and the body trembled uncontrollably just by feeling this Ryatsu. The sound of gasping for air kept ringing around. Is there only so many people? A gigantic, 3-meter-tall, hardback gorilla-like Su walked out of the black cavity and set foot in the realm of Soul Society. But as an outsider, he looked arrogant and looked at Shinigami like he was watching some snacks. Because the amount is too small, it can only be called a snack, not a dinner. Sure enough, Menos Grande, and it's no ordinary Menos Grande. Feeling this, Ryatsu's team members looked ugly. The so-called Menos Grande is a behemoth formed by tens of thousands of virtual animals gnawing at each other and merging with each other. At this stage, Soul Society is not everywhere in Arankar 100 years later, and the chairman will be as exaggerated as Bankai. Therefore, Spiritual Arts Academy taught them, when cultivating Shinigami, that Menos Grande, the ultimate dangerous Menos Grande, is under the jurisdiction of the Royal Special Agent, and it needs to be fought by multiple captain-level Shinigami at the same time to suppress it. Of course, this is only for the top-level Menos Grande, the Vasto Lord-level treatment. The junior Menos Grande Jillian is roughly equivalent to the superior officer and vice captain. Intermediate Menos Grande Ajuches are equivalent to captain. Obviously, this Ryatsu super strong Menos Grande doesn't look like Jillian at all, and doesn't have the humanoid appearance of Vasto Lord, so it's undoubtedly a Juches. Taking a Juches as an opponent is tantamount to seeking death. Oops, Vice Captain Nozomi is not here, and Captain Yoruchi isn't here either. The soldiers were in a cold sweat and were already planning to retreat. After all, the other party is a separate individual. Most people can survive by running away separately, and even a Juches will be killed as long as they can survive until the captain arrives. They still have confidence in their captain. Is it just you? Suddenly, a voice higher than him sounded. Huh? Who allowed you to stand on my head with only the ingredients? Dare to speak to me in this manner? Chimpanzee raised his head and looked at Guan Yue. Such an effortless action seemed to touch a certain nerve in it. Anger and murderous aura spread visibly. Reacts fluctuated violently, and the surrounding atmosphere rumbled. It is no different from shaking the earth. Run! I don't know who shouted first. Then, no more. The 6 paths light wings slid into the body of the gorilla, and then a thick chain swung over, knocking it to the ground and wrapping it into a zongzi. Damn it! Let me go! UBD! What the hell is this? Gorilla roared. I want to force it to break free, but this is the compound restraint of Guan Yu's 6-rod light prison plus lock bar, and 2 no. Limit it for at least a minute. You don't have to think that this time is very short. You must know that Guan Yu's Ryatsu is not as high as it is. Not to mention beheading in 1 minute. It is too late to dismember it into 8 pieces. Guan Yu Shimpa came to it, pulled out Zanpakutō, and cut it down. The knife and the mask rubbed violently, splashing a large piece of sparks. Guan Yu's pupil shrank. What are you kidding? Can steel skin still be practiced on a mask? No. Does the Menos Grande, which isn't even an Aaron car, have steel skins? Hey! A red light flashed in the orangutan's eyes, and he let out a harsh laugh as if the conspiracy had succeeded. Boom! Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge event time, October 1st to October 7th, 14. No decompression this time, it was a real shake of the earth. The heat energy enough to flatten a small mountain swept away, and the shock wave from the explosion blew the surrounding Shinigami and ordinary virtuals away. Only a few clever points could be avoided by getting down in time, but the consequence of doing so is to be buried by overwhelming mud and rocks. Ha 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 ha! When the air wave gradually subsided, the dust and smoke quickly dissipated. A burly figure stood between the huge potholes, smiling proudly. What are you laughing at? The sudden questioning stopped the orangutan's virtual laughter abruptly. At the same time, a knife light flashed. Chimpanzee had no room to react. His arm was directly cut off. His heavy body fell to the ground, twisted and turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. And then, boom, the arm actually exploded. And it's not an ordinary self-destruction. At the moment of the explosion, the dazzling Hongxia dyes everything around it, which is clearly zero. The smoke and dust rolled up dozens of meters, like a tsunami piled up layer by layer, slapping the ground in anger, and even things as hard as rocks turned into dust. The power of this explosion was doubled compared to the previous one. Suddenly, the dust curtain was forcibly dispersed by the strong wind. This is just a punching style that Gorilla Su uses his only remaining arm. Get out! Bugs! It glanced around with wide eyes, not missing a single change. But even so, there was no sign of the enemy. Unlimited anger and a faint sense of fear made Chimpanzee madly waving his arms. The atmosphere was blown up. Not far from the orangutan, Guan Yu was observing calmly. There was an orange kid light on his body. This is the Baykud bent light who hides himself. Normally, the concealment effect is not so good, but he superimposed it 10 times with the magic talisman in one breath. I slashed its mask, but it didn't break the defense. Instead, I slashed on the body that looked tougher and cut off its arms like cutting tofu. And whether it was the former or the latter, when I attacked afterwards, it will cause an explosion, and the explosion form is very similar to Zero. Guan Yu thought, in the process of devouring each other, the virtual will easily awaken some special abilities. Zero, Steel Skin, Rumble, high-speed regeneration. This is the equivalent of Shinigami's slashing fists and walking ghosts, and is a generic type of skill. The so-called special ability is more like Zanpakutō, but the special ability of the Ajuches in front of him is very strange. The attack will cause an explosion, and a part of the body will self-explode and turn into Zero, an excessively hard mask. The 3 points that have been discovered so far make Guan Yue feel that this does not seem to be the same ability. Since you don't come out, then I will kill all your companions. The orangutan seems to be rough, but his mind is very cunning. Seeing that Guan Yue refused to show up and realized that this situation was not good for him, he immediately decided to attack other Shinigami in order to force Guan Yue to come out and fight him head-on. With his palm covering his broken arm, he assumed a posture of accumulating power, and his mouth was filled with high-density bright red Reiatsu. It's Zero. Here, suddenly, the orangutan turned his head to the empty position and released Zero. A red light burned the atmosphere and disappeared in an instant. Make the sky extremely bright red. Boom! The earth is wounded again. However, Chimpanzee didn't even look at his masterpiece. He waved his big hand around and threw out dozens of blood beads. Some blood beads didn't fall on the ground, but dyed the air red. This is obviously not normal. Air and blood droplets cannot go together. The only thing that will be touched is some kind of invisible object. Caught you. Seeing Guan Yue showing his form, the orangutan grinned wickedly. The Zero just now didn't target those Shinigami, but wanted to test Guan Yu's position in this way, but it didn't feel that the other party would follow his own pace. There must be a way to avoid it, and then launched a surprise attack before he could react. It just happened to be caught by it. Blood! Guan Yue raised his hand and looked at the red stain on his hand. It is indeed a liquid, but definitely not blood. This can be determined by his dominance over the Reiki. The orangutan said bitterly, "Stupid. Of course not. This is liquid Zero. As long as it is out of my body and touches the air, I can make it explode. Think about it. The concentration of Zero in liquid form can make it explode. How strong? As long as I want. You can't even leave a hair." A flash of surprise flashed in Guan Yu's eyes. It is theoretically feasible to use liquid Reiatsu as blood. After all, both Su and Shinigami are spiritual bodies, and the body structure does not necessarily follow conventional biological laws. Conversely, a fluidized Reiatsu flowing through its body can cause a virtual Reiatsu to climb to a terrifying intensity, as seen in this Ajuches. Its combat experience and skills are not that great, relying entirely on Reiatsu and physical strength. More than that, your mask is much harder than your body. This is also one of your special abilities, right? I never imagined that you would meet Menos Grande, who has 2 special abilities at the same time. Guan Yue said with a smile, "Want to know? I heard that someone can recall their own life before dying, so take this opportunity to think about it. Of course, I know you won't understand. After all, you are just a small and stupid Shinigami. Well, for you I'll say you can't see the sky at the border." Gorilla. Lucas made a pretty bad face. Then he snapped his fingers. Guan Yue looked at each other quietly. Lucas's expression froze gradually, and he glanced at his hands, and then at the traces of liquid Zero on Guan Yu's body. What's going on? Why can't it detonate? Want to know? Make good memories before you die. Guan Yue swung his knife forward. Damn! Lucas was not reconciled and splattered some blood from his broken arm with his hands, but this time it detonated smoothly in midair. Thick smoke, dust, and a sea of fire spread out in front of you. The enemy cannot be seen. Only then did Lucas realize what he had done. Is this an attack? No, it just saw the opponent rushing towards it and set up a line of defense that was difficult to pass because of fear. Just Shinigami, Lucas whispered angrily, suddenly felt something, raised his head subconsciously, and saw a very thin palm landed on his mask. It is pitiful that the strength is small. Maybe the owner of the palm, Guan Yue, also knows that it is a meaningless act to force the opponent down, but Lucas has a creepy sense of crisis at this moment. The boundless fear is like countless hands, reaching out from the hole in the chest, tearing the nearest body to shreds. No! Guan Yu's eyes glowed with silver blue light. The Reiatsu on his body suddenly climbed up covering his entire body in a way that was visible to the naked eye. Detaining the spirit and dispatching generals activate. In the dark, the two wills collided. One of them has no resistance at all, breaks at the touch. This is not at all because of the gap in quality, but because of dimensionality reduction. If it is said that the main manifestation of origin of Ki body is its dominance over spiritual sons, then restricting spirit and dispatching generals is embodied in its suppressing power over souls. Even if the opponent's soul is much stronger than his own, and Ryatsu is outrageously high, this suppression force can still work. As long as it touches the head, it can be completely suppressed. Guan Yu's hands are equivalent to two unrepressed places. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 15. Plagiarize a wave of Zangetsu. This guy is yours. Guan Yu stabs Zanpakutō into the opponent's mask. This time, the blade was not hindered in the slightest, and half of the blade sank into Lucas's eyebrows. But careful observation revealed that this was not a physical puncture. It's more like dipping your hands in water, because after completing this spiritual restriction, the body composed of Lucas' spiritual son was already a huge spiritual block in Guan Yu's eyes. He didn't want to kill him. It would be a shame to do that. If an Ajuchas with an above-average strength can devour it, the benefits are self-evident. And to do this is not difficult. Restricting the spirit and dispatching generals, it can not only suppress the spirit body, manipulate and control its actions, but also devour the spirit body and convert its power into its own power. Essentially, it is no different from devouring compatriots to become stronger. Based on this alone, Siriidii found out that he would be sentenced without a word, and if he could not be sentenced, he would be permanently deported, and there was no room for negotiation. Guan Yu doesn't know what changes will be made after devouring Lucas, except for the improvement in strength, and he is not sure whether these changes are good or bad. But wasting food is also a vice, so he decided to let himself Zanpakutō devour Lucas. This is also the inspiration from Kurosaki Ichigo. Compared with the worst hollow of Hirako Shinji and others, Tosen Kanemi's hollow is the full form. But none of this compares to Kurosaki Ichigo's perfect hollow. The power of Shinigami and the power of Void are innately integrated. What breaks racial boundaries? People are born without racial boundaries. Guan Yu also wants to try it out to see if he can learn from a wave of Zangetsu. Guide Zanpakutō to devour and digest the power of emptiness. The racial boundaries are gradually blurred, the restraining force decays, and Zanpakutō's power increases accordingly. When the racial boundaries disappear completely, the power of Shinigami and the power of emptiness are like two seas. With no barrier in between, they merge into one, and the scale expands to an ultimate, and the original name is no longer available. Name. This also means reaching a higher dimension. Of course, these are just Guan Yu's ideas for the time being. It's hard to say whether it will work or not, but it is always smaller than the risk of swallowing the other party by yourself. Disperse. Guan Yu increased the restraining force of the restraining spirit, causing its spiritual body structure to become loose and unbalanced, and Lucas' entire body gradually blurred like an image. The Zanpakutō silver blue ray masterpiece in his hand is obviously also cooperating with his will to activate the spell, which evaporates the part it touches in a turbid white Ryatsu gas and releases a powerful suction. Lucas' head disappeared little by little at a speed visible to the naked eye. It feels like being caught in Uzumaki. It reminded Guan Yu of Uchiha Obito's release of Kamui to absorb himself, not to mention quite similar. In less than a while, Lucas's orangutan head was eaten up. He clearly felt a slight change in the Zanpakutō in his hand. Although it was very small, the feedback effect was extremely significant. The Ryatsu on Guan Yu's body fluctuated abnormally, sometimes rising and sometimes falling. Assuming the first rise goes from 10 to 11 and then back to 10.1, the second rise will go from 10.1 to 11.1 and back to 10.2. Every rise will rise, and every fall will refresh the base. Zanpakutō is an extension of Shinigami's will. Guan Yu will have this situation. It can only show one point. His Zanpakutō is getting stronger. Realizing this, Guan Yu was slightly relieved. Although with the support of Machine Hundred Refinements, Zanpakutō can find a solution if something goes wrong, but it is naturally the best to be able to avoid problems. Perhaps sensing his concern, a strand of Ryatsu floated like a tassel from the end of the hilt and brushed lightly across his cheek. Hurry up, if someone finds out what's going on here, it will be very troublesome. Guan Yu's mouth twitched. This knife really has no tension, and I don't know who to learn it from. Call. Zanpakutō's suction increased a bit. Even the spirits in the atmosphere were attracted. Lucas, is it actually solved by someone? It's really useless waste, a waste of my research results over the years. You're only suitable for setting off fireworks for me. Suddenly, a slow and melodious voice sounded. Even Guan Yu didn't notice anyone approaching. Or no one at all. The voice came from the heart of Lucas. Not good. Guan Yu's heart was ringing, and without even thinking about it, he retracted his sword and retreated, abandoning most of Lucas' surviving body. Facts have proved that his decisiveness is correct. I saw Lucas's body suddenly wriggling, twisting, and expanding, and Ryatsu's height in an instant was several times that of a normal captain-level Shinigami. Although the heat is only for a moment, but in this moment, it explodes. The red flashes spread out in an overwhelming force, and the world seemed to fall into a state of silence, losing all sound, leaving only the light of destruction that symbolized despair gradually enveloped the land. Tweet, Hongji. It was as sharp as the cry of some haughty bird piercing the sky. Urahara Kasuke stood at the very edge of the explosion with the liberated Zanpakutō in his hand. Facing the rapidly approaching aftermath, he quickly set up the same color, but the shield of blood that was even more magnificent was stubbornly blocking the front. Because there were already many soldiers gathered behind him, and he also rescued the soldiers who were caught in the battle and blown away, and now he can't run away with a group of wounded. Kasuke, retreat! At the critical moment, Yoruichi arrived from the vicinity with the broken bee and the guards. With their help, they can lead people to retreat. But oops, the explosion was so powerful, the space became unstable. Urahara Kasuke noticed the cracks on the red crystal shield, and couldn't help but show a dignified color. The shield of Shueisha uses the space itself to attack and defend. In short, it uses an indeterminate Ryatsu to fuse with the space and solidify it into the shape you want. As long as the space itself is stable enough, it can show the defense that isolates everything. But Zero's heat fluctuated too much, shaking the space structure, and in order to hold more people, he opened a larger shield of blood, which caused the duration to decline. It's too late to cover everyone's retreat. Baker number 81, Splitting Void. Suddenly, two transparent barriers as tall as city walls crashed down in front of everyone, blocking the impact even more spectacular than the flood. Yes, two. One abandons the chant, and the other bans the talisman. Although the effect of the former is only 1/3 of the latter, it can be stacked together at critical moments to maximize defense. Swish! Guan Yu suddenly appeared beside Urahara Kasuke. There is still a little spark on his body, and part of the Death Tyrant's costume has been scorched, and the whole person looks like he just rushed out of the explosion. Mr. Guan Yu? Guan Yu. Seeing Guan Yu, Urahara Kasuke and Broken Bee were all a bit of a surprise. Not only because of timely support, but also because others are not in serious trouble. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 16. Vasto Lord? It's not the right time for the seniors to come, but I have to admit to being a big help. Guan Yu noticed the troopers being protected by Urahara, Yoruichi, and others. These two are quite reliable. It was knowing this that he dared to take direct action. Anyway, even if something went wrong, someone would help him deal with it. No, Mr. Guan Yu, who supported him in time, was a big help. Urahara Kasuke was very modest, and he didn't have the pretense of being a high-ranking officer at all. All of a sudden, the bees on the side approached Guan Yu aggressively, taped his chest, and gritted his teeth. Guan Yu, who allowed you to act without authorization? What would you do if your colleagues were injured and sacrificed because of your recklessness and dedication? Have you ever thought about this? Lord Yoruichi, it's because of my mismanagement that I punished me. Although it is a reprimand, it is more of a concern. She even turned her head and bowed her head to Yuruchi to plead guilty, completely wanting to take all the responsibility on herself. Okay, Brobe, now is not the time to talk about such a topic. Besides, I don't think Guan Yue is at fault. Yuruchi waved his hand with a very serious expression. Think about it. If Guan Yue, if you don't show up, then the other team members will face the enemy who caused this scene. How many people do you think we can save by then? Ms. Yuruchi is right. It's understandable that Miss Brokenby cares for her subordinates, but you can get along with it slowly after you go back. Right now, you need to find out the whole picture. Do you mind if I ask about the battle situation, Mr. Guan Yue? Urahara Kisuk stared at the front. The blast of flames was subsiding, but the firelight made the surrounding red. The forest for several kilometers were burned up, and the ground was turned into scorched earth. He really couldn't ignore the reasons for this scene, especially knowing that this is due to the power of the enemy. The opponent isn't a Juches, and the blood in the body is completely replaced by liquid Siro. Not only that, but the body below the head is specially made, which is equivalent to an accelerant, which can detonate Siro in the shortest time and expand its power. This time, the explosion was the result of it trying to pull me to the end after it was cornered by me. Guan Yue is concise and to the point. Isn't this the same as a humanoid bomb? Yuruchi felt that it was too difficult to hear. After all, she was good at white hits. When encountering such an enemy that can self-destruct, the risk of rushing to melee combat is too high. But Urahara Kisuk noticed other details. Wait, Mr. Guan Yue, you said the part below the head was specially made? Yes, I originally wanted to destroy its mask after sealing its action with Kid, but it was slashed and scathed. I suspect that the virtual body is actually its head because its defense is too strong in order to play its role. With this advantage, I will deliberately find a way to create such an extreme body as a weapon. Lucas would have been shocked if he was still alive, because Guan Yue could see through its secrets in just 2 or 3 rounds. In this way, this empty mind is quite useful. Broken Bee raised her brows and interjected. She did not admire the other party, but was simply interested in this fighting method. Although it is very unfriendly to those who are good at white hits, on the other hand, if the strong people who are good at white hits have similar abilities, they can create explosions in close combat and bombard their opponents with explosive kinetic energy. Isn't it possible to defeat it in one go? No, you're wrong, Senior Broken Bee. It's not its brain that is useful, but it. Guan Yu's expression was solemn, and he slowly said some contradictory words. While speaking, he raised his head and looked over the battlefield where wildfires were spreading endlessly. In an instant, Yuruchi, Urahara, and Broken Bee realized something, or felt something, and suddenly looked at the same location. Their eyes seemed too targeted, and the red-hot sky was easily pierced. Of course, this is just a joke. The truth is that a new black cavity has appeared in the sky. A tall and thin figure stood majestically, not at all afraid of being discovered by others. Rather, he was just going to show pity and give the weak a chance to look up to him. Is that false? Broken Bee hesitated, because the other party looks too normal, with mixed pink and blonde hair, wearing a pair of white glasses that look like bones. He looks handsome, and his whole person is very bookish, giving people the impression of a scholar. There are 2 extremes of the phantoms that are grotesquely shaped and dominated by all kinds of brutal desires. If I have to say it, it's very similar to Urahara Kisuk. Hello, Kisuk. Yuruchi is not as optimistic as Broken Bee. It is better to say that he entered a state of war at the first sight of the opponent, and his aura became extremely aggressive and oppressive, and he didn't have the slightest smile as usual, as if he was not worried. This Ryatsu. It's not wrong. It's a void. And when it comes to a humanoid void, I can't think of any other possibility except for the most senior Vasto Lord. If Urahara Kisuk was wearing a hat at this time, he would have pressed the brim of his hat, because this would help him adjust his mentality and hide the worries in his eyes that must not be discovered by others. Because there is nothing to help other than to bring more distress and stress to others. As a person who has the ability to do more, we must find a way to avoid this, which is also a responsibility. Sailaporo, seeing the familiar appearance, Guan Yue instantly thought of the 8th-ranked mad scientist in Aizen Espada in the future. But isn't that guy a Juches? The only top 4 Arrancar in Espada was converted from Vasto Lord. The rest, whether or not Arrancar's strength catches up with or surpasses Vasto Lord level Menos Grande, is just a juches after all. Ah, what a grand welcome ceremony. The pink-blonde man seemed to like the sea of fire and scorched earth, and even regarded it as a stage to welcome him. He took a step forward. In this step, it disappeared in an instant, with the dull sound of breaking the air. They came to the top of Guan Yue and others not far away. Aside from Guan Yue's ability to capture his Ryatsu movement, Urahara and Uruchi, 2 veritable captain-level Shinigami, didn't even see how he moved. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 17. Was Sailaporo so strong 100 years ago? Menos Grandes are feared because of their fearsome powers. Its exclusive stride, Ring Zhuan, is very similar to Shinigami Shuinpa, but Menos Grande has a physical strength that most Shinigami don't have. This also means that it has a unique advantage in small-scale, high-speed movement that focuses on instant explosive power. All Shinigami can do is win by superior skill, which is really not something to be proud of. In front of this Menos Grande, who resembles Sailaporo, the degree of completion of the swivel that is displayed at will is excruciatingly high even among the Menos Grande who have mastered the swirl. And he didn't do it to show his power, he just wanted to be closer to facilitate communication, that's all. Although this is the Soul Society, I still want to say, welcome to my experimental site. My name is Sailaporo Grands, and I am currently serving as the chief researcher in the palace of the Lord of Hueco Mundo. Sailaporo leaned over and saluted gracefully, posing like a medieval aristocrat, but the calmness in him was something those aristocrats couldn't learn. I'm Shihoin Uruchi, the captain of the 2nd Division. I don't care what your name is or what your background is. You also said that this is the Soul Society, and it's also the jurisdiction I'm responsible for. What will be the consequences of messing around here? I must be a self-proclaimed researcher. You can't think of it, can you? Uruchi pushed away Shibi and Urahara Kisuk who were in front of him, and went to the front to confront him. Captain Haori was still screaming under the scorching mountains. His seemingly flat tone overcame all the surrounding noises. It was very difficult. Imagine being a woman with such a terrifying power. Of course, didn't I take the initiative? Sailaporo showed a playful smile, glanced at everyone, and finally stopped at Guan Yue. I have the impression of your Ryatsu that you killed Lucas, right? I'm sorry, your masterpiece can't be beaten too much, and it's broken in 2 or 3 strokes. Not only that, but you also made a mess here. I think you were the driving force behind it. Take responsibility. Guan Yue smiled casually. His eyes swirled around Sailaporo, as if he was thinking of cutting off part of it as compensation. A cold light flashed in the latter's eyes. Oh, you don't have to be too proud, Shinigami. It's just a half-finished product at best, and there are many flaws. I've been working on this for more than 2 months, and finally he had some ideas, so he sent a lot of dummies to attack Rakangai. Because I knew that there would definitely be Shinigami who were overly capable of coming to Crusade, but what I didn't expect was that the strength of the person who came was a little higher, and the guy Lucas was too unsatisfactory. Not only did he fail to finish me, the task given to it, and the loss of myself, is such a waste that I don't even know how to insult it to relieve my anger. Forget it, it's hard enough to attract a captain and a few Shinigami who have a lot of spiritual power. Bringing you back to Hueco Mundo as research material is enough to make up for my loss. The meaning revealed by the light words made the scorching atmosphere cold and chilling. Multiple Ryatsu quietly mingled with each other to start a silent conflict and collision, and the mountain fire was suppressed by life. The sky was so heavy that it was breathless, as if it was about to fall down at any moment. Guan Yue, Uruchi, Urahara Kisuk, and Ryatsu, released by Smash B, are a match for Sailaporo. The horror of Vasto, Lord-level Menos Grande, can only be felt when you really encounter it. Especially Shinigami, who became the captain, thought he was already standing at the top of the pyramid, but there was still a vast sky above his head. 7th generation Kenpachi, more than 100 years ago, received an invitation from Team Zero because of beheading a vasto lord. From this, it can be seen that the content taught by the Academy of Spiritual Arts is by no means absurd. What should I do, Miss Yoruchi? Do you really want to fight? Urahara Kasuke asked in a low voice. How can there be a Shinigami who refuses a false invitation to fight? I know what you mean. The Commander-in-Chief will get news soon. With the strength of our side, it will not be a problem to drag it to support. I even think that even if we kill the opponent, it's not impossible. The Research Institute, the predecessor of the Technology Development Bureau in Siriidii, is responsible for monitoring the Soul Society and the world around the clock. Every time they appear in Rakangai, they inform the various divisions of the news. With such a high-intensity Ryatsu confrontation right now, how could the Institute not be able to monitor it? The alarm bell must have been ringing at this time, and a bunch of people hurriedly prepared to report the situation to the first team for the captain to make a decision. Normally, after this wave of processes, it would be too late to wait for other captains to come to support. But things aren't that bad on their side. In the final analysis, there is still no shortage of combat power. Yoruchi himself is the captain, and Urahara Kasuke is also the captain-level combat power that he has learned from Bankai for many years. The tacit understanding and strength of the two of them are enough to wrestle with each other. If that's not enough, add another Guan Yue. I see. Urahara Kasuke glanced at Guan Yue and knew it in his heart. Qualification is qualification, ability is ability. Guan Yu's age is at the bottom of the second team, but his fighting power is comparable to that of the captain, including Bankai, who can increase his fighting power 5 to 10 times. It can be said that this level of talent can be achieved only by Kid, which is unprecedented. A super genius with captain-level combat power and infinite possibilities as a helper can just stabilize the triangle formation. What Guan Yu lacks, Yoruchi and Urahara Kasuke can fill in, and vice versa. Guan Yu, you and Kasuke are here to cover me. Broken B, the team members will be handed over to you. Take care of them. Yoruchi grabbed the collar and slammed it hard, and directly threw the captain and Yuri flying away, revealing the special combat uniform passed down from generation to generation by the Kunjin. Learn. As you order, Yoruchi-sama. Different from Guan Yu's indifference, Shueibei's mouth was very clear, but he was very disappointed. His subordinates fought on the front line, and as a boss, he could only watch from the rear. This is not Shinigami's usual style. Lord Yoruchi recognized Guan Yu's ability. She was not only happy, but also envious. If I could be stronger, work harder, and learn Bankai earlier, wouldn't I be able to get Yoruchi-sama's approval now? Thinking of this, I feel even more depressed. After all, there are not many opportunities to face Vasto Lord like this. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 18. Full fire, sure enough, they are inferior creatures. In the face of being stronger than themselves, they will rely on hunting. They are no different from rude and mindless beasts. Those of you who are bound by the history of the Soul Society's 10,000 years are still living in primitive times. Sailaporo pushed up his glasses, a contemptuous smile on his lips. Guan Yu sneered and said sarcastically, "It's as if he didn't evolve through savage bites and bites." It is said that each Menos Grande is hundreds of virtual aggregates. You know that in this world, what do people call your situation? Sailaporo's gaze has never been so cold. This may also be related to the fact that he has never suffered such bad insults. The self-proclaimed perfect life, the most unacceptable thing for him, is to be belittled as a person of life. Shinigami, what's your name? Guan Yu. It's decided. I will use all my technical power to challenge to make you into a weak creature of Hueco Mundo, and then give you vitality that will not be easily trampled to death. Let you learn it. The most correct survival as the weak way. Then I will summarize your learning results, and then name this new survival law after you. Kasuke, this guy likes to do boring research as much as you do. Miss Yoruchi, no matter what I say, I won't be bored enough to waste my time on this kind of thing. I have also decided that no matter how much you beg for mercy, I will hang you at the gate of Shiya Palace. No one can put you down, and you can't commit suicide. Menos Grande appreciate your eloquence. Ignoring the unobtrusive duo beside him, Guan Yu showed a rare, wide smile. The smile was so fierce, and the words were so cold. Even the Ryatsu emanating from his body has become a little more solemn. The original silver-blue Ryatsu, which is as light as frost and snow, has now deepened the silver part, and there is a tendency to transition to mercury. Try it if you can. Sailaporo gave up on the battle of words, and he didn't see any special actions, but the surrounding space seemed to be torn apart as if echoing his words. Black cavity, still black cavity, gradually filling the nearby sky at a speed visible to the naked eye. There are a lot of emptiness gathered in each black cavity, all add up to at least 300 or 500. The Ryatsu of a single individual is not too strong, only the level of Jillian, but this number is extraordinary. So many subordinates were summoned. Yurichi frowned. There must be someone to deal with so many Menos Grande, and it is not enough if their strength is low. It is best for the three of them to shoot together with their captain-level combat power. But in this way, the killing of Sailaporo can basically fall through. After all, the opponent is not stupid, and they can escape when they can't beat them. Menos Grande's Nagase in is not a decoration, so it is still difficult to kill a high-level Menos Grande. Seizing the opportunity is a little bit stronger than the other side is another point. The three of them work together and could only find a way to meet the first requirement. If one person is selected, it will be difficult to satisfy even the first point. In this case, Kasuk, Guan Yu, you cooperate with Broken B and the others to defend in place. I'll hold that guy back and help me when your side is finished. Yurichi made a quick decision. No, these Menos Grande, I can do it alone, Guan Yu said suddenly. Now is not the time to be a hero, Mr. Guan Yu. Although I am not happy to let Miss Yurichi fight alone, I have to admit that this allocation is the most reasonable right now. Urahara Kasuk said solemnly. I didn't say that I don't need your help. It's better to say that your help is very important. I'll leave the explanation for later. Now teach me how to know 91, as well as the spell casting skills that resemble a chorus. Urahara Kasuk and Yurichi were both stunned. Fortunately, Broken B had already led people to retreat to build a position. Otherwise, she would have been furious with Guan Yu's wild words when she heard this. When are you still learning, kid? Do you really think that advanced spells are so useful? It's okay to sing like an ensemble, but if you're a genius, you'll be able to get started quickly if you have the skills. But kid is a completely different dimension when it reaches number 90, and its nature is infinitely close to Bankai. Throughout the entire Soul Society, how many people can use Kid who is above number 90 with ease? Even before Aizen left Soul Society, the Black Coffin who abandoned the chant was only less than 1/3 of the full effect of the Black Coffin he mastered, which shows how difficult it is to cast the spell. Guan Yu's plan to learn and use it now can be called whimsical. Roar! At this time, the hundreds of Menos Grande in the sky screamed in the sky, left Haikyang, and rushed towards them. On the way to pounce, Ryatsu keeps gathering Ryatsu to release Zero together. For a time, the dazzling red once again dominated everyone's vision. I'll go first, you can figure it out for yourself. Yurichi ignored the Menos Grande and went straight to Sailaporo. Urahara, you only need to cast at number 91 once, and then perform the simulacrum again. Whether you can learn it or not, facing so many Menos Grande, you can't cut it with only Zanpakutō, and I doubt it. Will there be the same ability as the one I just killed in these ghosts? And if so, I need to use high-level Kid to quickly clear it, otherwise how can I support Captain Yurichi? Guan Yu took Zanpakutō back into the scabbard, and while talking, he used both hands to draw a magic talisman, almost 1 per second. The efficiency was similar to that of abandoning the chant, but the power was several times higher. Having said that, an array of 8 trigrams was already laid out in front of him, and as he pushed horizontally with both hands, he injected more Ryatsu into the 8 charms, making them much larger, and at the same time quickly moved to all directions. Immediately after that, the talisman's rays of light flourished, and a terrifying Ryatsu erupted like a small sun constructed by a spiritual child. Boundless blue flames spewed out and swept the entire sky. The advanced version of the blue fire pendant that Guan Yu is best at The double lotus blue fire pendant, as high as no. 73, and also deliberately uses key body origin flow to optimize the conversion efficiency of spirits, absorb more spirits, and make the spirits huge. The power is also stronger, and the complete double lotus blue fire pendant of the chanting is banned by the magic talisman. Its power is directly chasing the cremation of the old man Yamamoto. He resisted hundreds of Zero bombardments with the blue flames. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 19. What is a scholar? How spectacular is that? Red and blue are two completely different colors, which are regarded as an unprecedented collision with the classic opposing colors of black and white. Zero and Yin Lu controlled the sky and the earth within a kilometer of each other, and they both wanted to completely overwhelm each other. The atmosphere burned and evaporated, leaving many of the Shinigami dry-mouthed, breathless, and sweating profusely before engaging in combat. Not only the relationship of temperature, but the high concentration of Ryatsu everywhere also brings a lot of stress to the body and mind. This is a battlefield of multiple captain-level Shinigami, a Vasto Lord, and hundreds of Menos Grandes. Even the broken bees can only stay behind and lead the team to deal with the Menos Grandes who are too late to intercept. Taking the initiative is absolutely forbidden. Seeing the flames flowing in all directions, Urahara Kisuke calmed down and made a decision. I see, Mr. Guan Yue just listened to you. I'll teach you how to use the HAD and simulacrum of number 91 right now. Ashamed to say, I think that the kid technology that I have honed due to research needs is considered top-notch in GOTI 13, but I'm still a little helpless for kid who are above the 90th, and it is just a waste of time to use it in battle at this stage. It's just physical and spiritual power, and I don't know if it can come in handy. It's okay, kid is largely tied to Ryatsu. Even if the proficiency reduces the overall power, it can still be topped by Ryatsu and high-frequency releases. My Zanpakutō can do that. Guan Yue expressed his support. Please don't push yourself too hard. My Bankai is actually quite suitable for this situation. Urahara Kisuke raised Zanpakutō. The tip of his sword pointed to the sky, ready to begin casting. But if Bankai's abilities are exposed, it's not going to be easy to deal with that guy. Guan Yue replied lightly. It made Urahara Kisuke smile wryly. That's true. His Bankai is kid type. If the opponent doesn't understand the ability, it's not surprising to be killed directly. But if you know it, it's not hard to come up with a corresponding solution. So after learning Bankai and never using it in front of people, even Yoruichi doesn't know what his Bankai effect is. This is to avoid information leakage as much as possible, which will lead to the enemy being targeted one day in the future. At the same time, it is also to rely on Bankai to one day be able to take down the formidable foes that would have been impossible to beat anyway. Now that the time has come, a powerful enemy is at hand. The more this time, the less anxious you can be to expose your trump cards. In particular, Sail Aporo seems to be a wise man, not only to hide his trump card, but also to hide his mind, so that no clues can be seen, otherwise the effect will be greatly reduced. That's why he agreed to try Guan Yue's seemingly absurd plan. The journey of Senju, the noble hand that cannot touch the darkness, the archer of the sky that cannot be reflected, the path of radiance, fanning the wind of the seeds, gathering and gathering without confusion. Follow my instructions. Light bullets, 8 bodies, 9 lines Tianjing Zibao large wheel. The gray turret draws the bow to the distance and dissipates brightly dash. When Urahara Kisuke began to chant kid with all his heart, 10 purple-red light groups appeared all over his body and above his head, exuding terrifying Ryatsu fluctuations. To make, under the influence of certain spell rules, the properties of the light group were sublimated and stretched into a huge arrow shape. Hat's 91 Senju Jiaotian cannon. Finally, in order, 10 arrows with a length of several meters flew high into the sky, and the 2 kid Ryatsu high-density entanglements overlapped and twisted at the moment when they submerged in the flames, and then exploded with a bang. The white light was dazzling and dazzling, as if hundreds of flash bombs had been thrown, but this light couldn't cover up the cross star that was born in the sky. That's the explosion caused by the Senju Kaiden cannon. Unlike other kid, its explosion range is not only small, but also unique in shape. This is all because this technique compresses and condenses the power inward from 4 directions, limiting the power to the center as much as possible. Aim a little bit, resulting in a unique cross explosion. The hit target is like 10 huge arrows condensed by countless rays of light, penetrating the heart at the same time. As gorgeous as a supernova explosion, crushed by the infinite heat inside and out to the dust invisible to the naked eye. Unlike the Black Coffin of number 90, the key to Senju's elimination is concentration. The smaller the scale and the higher the quality is the essence of it. In my words, this level is the limit. Urahara Kisuke sighed. Reats have fluctuated a little. Obviously, releasing this extremely high sequence of kid with all his strength was a big burden on him. He released several kid in a row like in the original book 100 years later, and then ended with Senju Jiaoyan, and he was not even blushing and gasping. However, people will make progress, and this is the most normal situation. As for the simulacrum, it's essentially changing the Ryatsu structure of the spell, rather than working on the chant. It complicates the original spell, or more specifically expands it, and superimposes an identical one on top of the original one. It is equivalent to 1 room becoming 2 adjacent rooms, 3 rooms, and so on, to achieve the effect of overlapping spells. It's worth noting that simulacrum ensembles are limited to the same kid and must not be superimposed on 2 different kids. Urahara Kisuke didn't even care how many Menos Grande he had just killed by kid, and immediately began to teach the trick of pseudo-duo. After all, I also used one of Hadchong to demonstrate it. He only chanted once, but released 2 shocks from his fingertips. Guan Yue observed very carefully. The pupils shone with silver-blue light, as if using some kind of pupil technique. He was just seeing the movement law of the spiritual sun when Urahara Kisuke used kid through key origin stream, and then deeply remembered it in his heart. The rules are very important. The so-called tricks are actually a part of the rules. The overall rules of the master are equal to the full score of theoretical knowledge. Practical application is also not difficult for Guan Yue. After all, the power of key origin over the spiritual child is like a high-precision machine tool with extremely high technology content. As long as there are drawings, theory, and materials, Ryatsu, products can be processed. Surgery, in a sense, his learning ability on kid has caught up with Sharingan's copying efficiency. Where this is learning, it is clearly copying. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 20. Shirkai by Guan Yu Boom. When Urahara Kisuke was directing Guan Yu, the Menos Grande group had already forcibly broken through the flaming sky constructed by the Shuangyin Songhua pendant. It's not surprising that Siro and Yin Lu collided and canceled each other out. Urahara Kisuke's number 91 had tackled a dozen, but to no avail. Can't continue to stop those rough-skinned Menos Grande from attacking. They slaughtered collectively like goshawks. Just this action combined with Ryatsu, which overflowed unconsciously, set off a gust of wind that was almost like a wave. The earth trembled. These are hundreds of Jillian-level Menos Grandes. Their form has evolved from that kind of behemoth over 100 meters high. It has condensed into a body size of several meters to dozens of meters. It has consciousness and thinking ability, and its strength is stronger than those of Menos Grande. Sen's Jillian is only high. Kill, kill, kill. Kill these Shinigami. Fight for Lord Sailaporo. Fight for Lord Sailaporo. Oh! Gradually, a wave of fight for Lord Sailaporo. Thoughts spread, and the Menos Grande group roared and attacked all Shinigami in sight. This fanatical fighting spirit is simply appalling. In the eyes of Shinigami of the 2nd Division, it seems that he and others are not fighting against Su, but against a group of cultists. All classes rely on the formation to fight. Let this group of false knowledge have the honor that only exists on the edge of the blade. The several officers headed by Broken B were not afraid to draw their swords and step forward. Their words and actual actions forcibly dispelled the uneasy atmosphere in the team. Okay, Urahara, you can go to support Captain Yoruchi. Leave it to me here. Mr. Guan Yue? Urahara Kasuke swung the shield of the bloody haze, turning it into an incomparably sharp whip blade, splitting Menos Grande's body in two, and then found Guan Yu holding up Zanpakutō, with violent Ryatsu waves surging from his body. Silver blue, the light has already turned into a flame and enveloped the whole body, showing how high its quality and concentration are. Drowning and starving, no fog. Guan Yu said the liberation language softly. Under the somewhat surprised gaze of Urahara Kasuke, his Zanpakutō appearance changed. A gem-like silver prismatic six-sided cylinder with a length of more than 1 meter replaced the blade. The blade was wrapped with a transparent crystal shell that was 2 or 3 centimeters thick, making it look quite heavy and thick. The blade that resembles the black metal material seems to be like a blooming lotus base in order to better support the excessively rough blade body. The handle at the bottom is integrated with the blade, and there is a blue tassel swaying at the end. Fly. It is difficult to say that this gesture is a sword, a mace, or a sacrificial instrument. From the point of view of weapons, there is nothing outstanding. It lacks lethality visible to the naked eye. The easiest way to think of fighting is to use the thick blade to smash people. On the contrary, it is more like a beautiful handicraft. Urahara Kasuke has to admit, this is the most gorgeous Zanpakutō he has ever seen. Even if it looks like it has just been pulled out of the glacier, the strange prismatic blade is still wrapped in a thick layer of unthawed ice shell-like crystals. But this sword and ice general look and feel is, on the contrary, even more amazing. Boom! Suddenly, an explosion came. Guan Yu looked up and found that it was a Menos Grande that chose to self-destruct under siege by the team members. All I can say is that he was right. This group of Menos Grande is also the experimental body of Sailaporo. Although it is not as good as the previously killed Lucas, it must have been physically transformed, and the internal organs and blood have become the medium and sacrifice for the release of Zero. The lethality of close-range self-destruction is comparable to several tons of TNT, and the killing area is as high as 50 meters or more. There is basically no chance of survival for the team members involved. Normally it is. How can that be? The broken bees who were fighting were also affected by the explosion. A large number of gravel and high-temperature Fane slashed her skin and caused slight burns. She clearly felt that she should be injured, but the injury did not appear, nor did she. No pain. Not only that, she even saw the team members who were still alive and kicking during the explosion. They also seemed to be frightened and hurriedly subconsciously kept away from the explosion range. But this action itself was meaningless because they would not be injured at all. Broken Bee was keenly aware that a little silver-blue Ryatsu lingered around everyone's body, silently protecting them like a talisman, and also protecting themselves. This Ryatsu? Guan Yu. She recognized the owner of this Ryatsu. He turned his head to look for the person, and soon, like Urahara Kasuke, he also had a similar impression after seeing the Zanpakutō in Guan Yu's hand. Shirkai? In an instant, I had the answer. Zanpakutō's abilities are eccentric. Although I am quite shocked by the effect of this immunity to damage, but the battle has to be fought, let's say. Now when will it be better not to fight? Mr. Guan Yu, is this your Zanpakutō ability? Urahara Kasuke accidentally cut his sleeve by Menos Grande's claws and touched his arm. It should have been wounded, but he found that there was a strand of Ryatsu belonging to Guan Yu wrapped around his arm. It seemed that it should have appeared. Wound absorbed. My Zanpakutō can absorb damage to people I don't have hostility to, convert it into Ryatsu, and inject it into the blade, but this effect has no effect on me. Guan Yu dodged a Menos Grande attack without Cade. Then the sword holder only needs to attack, and absorbing damage is just incidental. My sword knows what I need. Seeming to guess what Urahara Kasuke was trying to say, Guan Yu added another sentence. That's it. Then I'm relieved. But the damage absorption range is limited to 100 meters with me as the center. I can't interfere with Captain Yurichi. You'd better go to support first, and at the same time, create a chance for me. I will use the number 90 had you just taught me. And technology cooperates with the ability of Mindless to solve that superior Menos Grande. Learn. A flash of surprise flashed in Urahara Kasuke's eyes. Thoroughly understand Guan Yu's true intentions. His goal was never these Menos Grande, or his heart was not on this battlefield at all. The reason why I stayed was to discuss the countermeasures with myself in advance, but also to meet certain conditions of the battle and to accumulate enough strength to support Yoruchi in the first time and hit Sailaporo by surprise, and hit him hard and even killed him in one fell swoop, to prevent him from running away when he sees a bad situation. I have to say, Guan Yu's move won his heart. Mr. Guan Yu, maybe we get along by accident. Celebrating the 7-day National Day holiday and reading books. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediately rush to recharge. Event time, October 1st to October 7th, 21. This virtual is to Versailles go back 1 minute in time. The empty sky 1,000 meters away. Suddenly, as if something intangible collided, 2 terrifying air waves rushed in opposite directions. In the storm that blurred the vision, the 2 figures were fighting fiercely. It made the atmosphere vibrate endlessly, like a continuous wave. Ordinary people don't participate in it. Even if they get close to it, they will be bruised and bruised by the spilled shockwave, vomiting blood and flying backwards. This sky has become a real forbidden place for life, full of invisible murderous intentions everywhere. And this seemingly terrifying situation is nothing more than a negligible aftermath of the fight between Yoruchi and Sailaporo. Laugh! A wisp of blood fluttered. Sailaporo's figure reappeared, licking the blood on his fingertips, his face full of disgust. Shinigami's blood spirit concentration is not bad, but the smell of death is too thin. I am disappointed. I'm quite surprised. He looks like a researcher, but he's unexpectedly good at fighting. Yoruchi glanced at the wound on his shoulder that seemed to have been cut by a sharp blade. I was accidentally touched by the opponent's fingertips at a certain moment in the fight just now. Because it was too fast, I didn't even feel it at the time, although the injury was very light. It was the first time since he had been successful in school that he was beaten first in an unarmed melee battle. To be honest, I've tried my best to suppress it. Sailaporo sighed lightly and said with some melancholy, "Fighting means nothing to me, but my strength is too strong. I'm worried that if I get interested and accidentally kill you, then your value as a test item will be greatly reduced. Think about it. If you were fighting for profit, then you will lose more benefits after winning. So, is this kind of battle still necessary? Shinigami, you can feel fear because just now, I almost cut off your head, but I can tell you the way to get rid of your fear. That is to give up resistance. If you can cooperate with my research, you will survive. The odds are still high. I don't believe the promise of the person wearing the white coat. Although you don't wear it, you are still a raccoon dog," Yoruchi said in a teasing tone. "Then what if you exchange the lives of your subordinates?" Sailaporo took out a blue spirit orb from his arms. "I think that Shinigami named Guan Yu has already told you about Lucas' abilities. That's fine. It saves me having to talk. In a word, these Menos Grandes that I called here are my test subjects. Their internal organs have also been modified, and although not as good as Lucas, they can also be used as a one-time zero. As long as I crush this thing at such a close distance, all the..."
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.